Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga,
I
ooga
can't
chaka,
stop this
ooga,
feeling
ooga chaka, ooga, ooga,
deep
ooga
inside
chaka,
of me.
ooga, ooga chaka, ooga,
I don't remember the
ooga
lyrics.
chaka, ooga,
What you
ooga.
do to me?
Shockingly harder than you think it would be.
Let me try it.
That's pretty good. Welcome back to Shallow Cinema. We are diving into a good comic book movie this week. Spoiler alert. I'm your host, Blackjack Bauer, accompanied by the other host, Nemo, your captain.
Captain Nemo. Welcome aboard the ship. So, how's it been going?
What would you name the ship, Nemo? If it was the Guardians, can you name the 3 Guardian ships? Because they've had 3 different ones.
The Alanis Morissette, the David Bowie, and the girl from 80s movie.
You're close. The first movie was the Milano, named after Alyssa Milano.
Alyssa Milano.
Second one was the Benatar, Pat Benatar.
There you go.
And this one is the Bowie.
Hey, look at that.
Oh, were you just making it up?
That was a shot in the dark.
Oh yeah, no. This one is called the Bowie.
Cool. That's
so, yeah,
awesome.
What would the Shallow Cinema's ship be named? It's a hard sentence to say. Shallow Cinema ship.
God, this is a good question. We'll call it the Corgan.
The Corgan? I like that.
Yeah.
Billy would approve.
Yeah. With the vampire.
We would be rats like in a cage, but we'd probably be enraged.
Yeah.
Have you seen that clip
some
of him
poetry.
eating just chips on stage at a concert?
Yeah, it's really funny.
It's very weird.
You seen the picture of him looking very sad on a roller coaster with his family?
No, but I can imagine.
It's pretty fun.
It's funny that it doesn't have to be photoshopped. I guess it's real.
Yeah, he looks very sad.
Keeping 90s emo alive. Oh,
yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, it's relevant. I mean, this movie is full of some 90s era music.
Where can people shoot messages to us on the Corrigan, Nemo?
We are at shallow_cinema on Twitter. You can find that handle in the description of anywhere you're listening to this podcast. And send us an email at shallowcinemashow@gmail.com. We do read them, or at least I do. And we also would appreciate some ratings on Apple Podcast. Shout out to the 2 or 3 people who have made some comments on there. It's really nice.
Good ones, bad ones?
One of them just says, like it. The other one says, good. And the other person says, I like your audio.
All right, well, man, it's fair enough. All right,
yeah,
great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
See who can write the longest comment on there now. Apparently, it's a low bar to reach.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 words.
Yeah, there you go. You win.
If you do that, I'll give you a shout out.
Yeah. Well,
on what episode? I don't know. You got to keep listening.
But yeah, this time we're talking about Guardians Volume 3.
But not yet. You're jumping ahead.
No. We got to introduce what we're going to talk about. But first, we're going to get into some news.
So what we're not going to talk about. We're not going to be talking about Fast X, which will be the movie coming out when this episode comes out.
That's some great news.
But on that, I have some news about Fast X.
I think I know what it is.
It's a very small bit of news. If you care at all, this is a spoiler, but also it's not really a spoiler anymore. And by the time this comes out, the movie will have been out for a while. So I think I want to say it was The Rap who's the one who broke this. They got to see the movie.
Okay.
And then just straight up told people what the post-credit scene is, which The Rock is back.
Okay.
Which is kind of a big deal because he said he didn't want to do these anymore.
Yeah, I think he hates
Had a very
Vin Diesel
public
or something.
Conversation with Vin Diesel and also if you I hadn't seen this until very recently, but apparently there's a video of him reviewing Tyrese's most recent album.
Yeah.
And just taking it to town.
The Rock?
Yeah. I've never seen The Rock be mean. So it's very weird because I don't think he's acting.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
If he is, this is a very huge PR stunt that they've been doing for years.
Yeah. I mean, also dude's reviewing music and
I mean, it's because of, when he went to go do Hobbs and Shaw, Tyrese made a tweet or TikTok or I don't know, and cried and bitched.
One of those
things.
The
Rock just was like, all right.
How about
Listen
that?
to your dog shit album until everyone's dog shit. Anyway, so The Rock's back. That's kind of cool. It's a bummer. I mean, I don't give a fuck about these movies. I do like long form storytelling, and it's interesting to me how this 20-year-old franchise, racing cars, still exists.
The first movie came out before I was born.
I'm not gonna. That makes me feel old. Anyway, same time, why would you like? And here's the thing: the rap, if I'm correct, it's either the rap or Deadline, but whoever got to see it and who spoiled this,
Right.
it's not a spoiler. They would not have put that out if Universal didn't say it was okay.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
they've got relationships with these studios, and that's not just like spoiler of the movie. Like that's literally like be like fucking telling people like the end credit scene in an MCU movie.
yeah,
which
like just immediately.
usually like yes, that news will be out there for you the weekend the movie comes out, but the weekend the movie comes out,
Not public,
5
like
days before.
first thing you see.
But then also Vin Diesel in an interview also was like, "Yep,
Yep.
this-
How about
now
that?
also I believe
Oh, sorry. He said, "Yeah, The Rock is back.
family, families." But here's the
We
thing:
always stick together."
I guarantee you, this scene, whatever it is, I bet it was shot in the last 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Just like Black Adam.
That's I was gonna say the same
And it's
thing.
also like Black Adam, where what did the promotion for that movie become for the last week and a half leading up to it? Was simply
Superman.
Superman's back. The promotion was here's the end credit scene is going to be this.
Yeah,
And I know
a lot of people literally went to
Fast
see Black
franchise-
Adam just because Superman was in it.
I know they've taken a dip financially, but small, not like major. But yeah, like also you've made 10 of these movies, like you're going to stop making certain
Yeah.
money. I don't think you're in a position where you have to like spoil what would have been for your fans. That would have been cool as fuck to be in the theater and say, oh shit.
Yeah, especially if
The
you're
Rock is
really
back?
into that.
And also meaning like on the next, he's going to be here in the next one. Like
Yeah.
the other bit of news in the same, I don't know if it's the same interview, but Vin Diesel also noted Fast X. This is not just Fast X Part 1 and Part 2, which
Oh no.
is what it was going to be, is Fast X and
Yeah.
or Fast 10 and 11, but maybe they're just all Fast X and it's parts
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. Because I've heard this movie does end on an actual cliffhanger. Like it just kind of like, see you in a couple years, figure out
Okay.
how this ends. But he said it's going to be a trilogy.
All right. That's
So Fast
very
X
strange.
Part 1, 2, and 3, 12 Fast and Furious movies. I don't know.
Well, that's wild.
I can't.
I can't fathom.
I was excited for the series in a way of like, I knew this wasn't the last one. It just says the end of the road begins. It's
Yep.
like one more after this, and then you're done.
This is
The
Batman
saga,
Begins.
The Fast saga comes to a close. It's like, actually, guys, the story's too big for that.
I hope Tom Hardy's in the last one.
I mean, honestly, the cast of these movies is almost as big as the MCU.
Oh, absolutely.
It's taken people from the MCU.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Helen Mirren is in this.
Yeah, like
Charlize Theron's been in.
super
I
strange.
think she's been in them since 8.
Yeah, she's been in a lot. Also, I did lie to you, BJB. The first Fast movie came out when I was 5 years old.
Okay. I was in high school. I remember when the plot of it was they're going to steal some TVs with combo VCRs in them.
With some really
Maybe DVD players. It might have been DVD players.
Yeah.
And now, 2 of them have been to space.
Yep, they sure have. That's still one of the most insane scenes I've ever. I never even watched the movies.
The car going to space scene?
No, the car on the zip line that they put in the trailer a few years ago.
Oh, ziplining across the mountain?
Yeah, where it goes all the way around.
Apparently, this one's a little bit more grounded than the last
Sure.
one.
Cool.
But it's not. Physics don't exist.
Cool. Awesome.
So that was one of my little bits of news that I just I don't care that The Rock is back. It's interesting to me, and I really wonder like how much money.
Yeah.
Either that or was this all an elaborate prank for years where they're just like seem like they hate each other and it's like, nope.
Speaking of, taking some minor and major dips, Jonathan Majors' future in the MCU has now been still unconfirmed, but now that
Seems
Ant-Man,
like a clickbait lead in.
yeah, now that Ant-Man and the Quantum Mania has come out, they are erasing the name Kang and Jonathan Majors from most press releases, and they're not allowed to say the name Kang or Jonathan Majors. So all the stuff is saying like the next big threat. And the movie just came out on streaming on Disney Plus.
I get not wanting them to. Also, how many people are talking about Ant-Man?
Yeah.
But I get wanting to like don't say Jonathan Majors' name.
I guess they're just kind of playing it
So, like,
safe right now,
why-
but they're not like firing him or accusing him.
Why like don't say Kang's like Are you going to change who the villain is? Like, it's still Kang, even if you
Yeah.
recast it. Like, it's
Maybe,
It's
I
fine.
mean, if something goes through, maybe he has a tie to the name Kang, and they're gonna have to just axe that character if
do you think
they
that's part
can't
of his
use him.
contract? Like, I own Kang now.
It's very possible.
Josh Brolin was a chump for not trying to get Thanos.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, that's nothing. That's all the news on that one.
and some news for you if you don't know. Nemo, this is news for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
I think the news was happening, but Hulu is reviving Futurama for a third time.
Bite my shiny metal ass. That was my best Bender impression.
That was
It was really bad.
you should maybe try Zoidberg.
Okay. Well, we're on Hulu.
It's better than your Bender. That's better
Thank
than
you.
Bender.
Thank you.
Good
Good news.
It's
everyone.
they will be back July 24th. So not too far off.
Well, hey, there's a quote from Futurama. We're back, baby.
You think they're gonna say that again?
Probably. We're back again, baby.
I mean, actually, you know what? I will give you $1 if they don't say that.
Cool.
It'll be 10 episodes.
Okay, that's about right.
This is season 11 technically.
I really like Futurama.
I know you do. It's why I said this is a piece of news for you.
Yeah, like
I
I
think
always
it's-
like to watch it. It's good.
It's cool that it's back. Everyone is back, all the original cast. But it's also this has got to be really good.
Yeah.
Because otherwise then it's like, well, what? Why
So
did you do this?
So for me, Futurama and American Dad are very similar, where it feels like the main writers of The Simpsons and Family Guy just kind of let off some steam with this sideshow, which is entirely better than the main like breadwinner of each of those like studios.
I don't remember where Futurama premiered in the timeline age of The Simpsons. I mean, I remember its premiere. I watched it.
Yeah, it
from the
was like,
get-go,
well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was the new year, like 2000.
it might have been 1999.
Yeah, because it was like all about
So-
Y2K.
So it would have been what 10, 12 seasons in for The
Mm-hmm.
Simpsons or more. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But definitely a point where The Simpsons had taken its first dip of, we don't want you to go away, but you're not as good as you used to be.
Yep.
And yeah, Futurama was fresh, I think, for everybody. And also
The episodes are
very different. I mean, it's a
very
different
well
show.
written.
It's not The Simpsons. They look like The Simpsons.
There's legit episodes of that show that can make you cry, and
I mean,
like
Fry's
all of
dog.
it. I mean, yeah, that's a sad one, but the bee episode where Fry gets stabbed,
Oh, yeah.
it's a pretty sad one.
Fry and Leela's relationship is always very strong.
It's good. Like it's just such a good show, and it's also very consistent while still being a cartoon.
The sci-fi riffs were good. But they did say this will have something for everybody. If you've never watched it, you'll be able to just jump right in here.
I feel like that's pretty fair.
But if you are a longtime fan, you will get answers to some decades-long mysteries, including one of your favorites, The Secret History of Evil Robot Santa.
Hey, that's great. I really want to see that. Love Robot Santa.
So yeah, I look forward to their
Yeah, that's
July
awesome.
24th.
You know what? This is a pretty good segue. My other piece of news is that Disney Plus and Hulu are mixing together, and they are deleting or paywalling a bunch of shit.
Well, Disney already pulled a bunch of stuff as of today, May 19th.
Yeah.
Or no, I think it's May 26th. They're pulling stuff.
Warwick Davis is very upset because
Willow's
got killed
one of
almost
them.
instantly. And he's like, it's horribly disrespectful.
So Disney Plus is Willow, Turner and Hooch, The
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks, Game Changers, a bunch of stuff I've never heard of. And then for Hulu, Why the Last Man and Dollface, Little Demon, which was okay, and some other stuff I haven't heard of. So mostly like limited run series or like series
Yeah.
that didn't get a lot of attention.
But also, like,
But here's the things, like,
you can't
isn't
really
that kind
judge
of
that.
what you want to? That's what you should leave on here, because like
That's
the kind of stuff that will actually get an audience.
if anything,
probably
you should
later.
promote it more. Like,
If you paywall it, it's just going to go away.
Yeah.
Because I mean, didn't watch it when it was free. But if you leave it there, and like Willow, for instance,
see,
like,
that's the thing is you said don't watch it when it's free. They're not free. We have to pay for these services.
true. But with Willow, already a cult thing. The movie's already a cult favorite.
Yeah, the
but-
fact that it even got a sequel is amazing. So why would you even get
and
rid of it?
I've heard both. I've also heard people say like, series is pretty good. You got to get over a couple things, and then like, it's fine. I think people probably hate it less than Rings of Power.
Yeah.
But if it's paywalled, it only exists on streaming. How do you get a cult following? How do
Right.
you mass an audience? Like, you're not going to. Like, you might as well just do what Warner Brothers did and just fucking delete it.
It's so strange because like Netflix makes these decisions too. Like The Dark Crystal was insanely popular. They're like, yeah, fuck it.
Saw a rumor that a second season might happen.
I really hope it does because it was amazing.
But this is the thing.
yeah,
Again,
like-
this just goes to the fear of even stuff that the streamers themselves have made. Don't think that.
No,
And I'm guilty of this. Where I'm just like, yeah, I'll get to it whenever. Because what am I afraid of? It's on there. It's always going to be there.
right.
Nope. Apparently, no. It may not.
So yeah, sorry.
Watch it immediately, or they'll take it away. But also, this harkens back to a reason of why I wish they would put stuff on DVD.
Yeah,
And this is what's weird too. Is like if they didn't get a great audience, there used to be movies that come out to theaters that didn't do great,
right.
but then they'd come out on home video, and they would either through rental money and or just sales, either amass an audience or make a money.
You know what? I
Make
was
money,
actually
not just money. They make money.
I was watching a video this weekend from a creator named Saberspark on YouTube talking about the movie Balto and how
I've never seen it, but I remember the cover. I know what you're talking about.
well it was an insanely well-made movie that had like
That's
a great.
Fox Animation, isn't it?
It was Steven Spielberg's. It was Amblin Animation,
Before DreamWorks.
and the movie had a huge cast, a huge budget, hand-drawn cells, and Toy Story came out the same month, killed the movie. So it's like they spent all this effort putting this movie out. Then they was like Steven Spielberg was like, "Fuck this! I'm killing this company. We're gonna make DreamWorks." But then home VHS sales for Balto blew like everything out of the water. It was super popular.
Wouldn't
at
DreamWorks
home.
own Balto now, though? I mean, it's still Spielberg, right? Like,
Yeah, they made some spin-off movies that were
I
terrible.
know they made some direct-to-video ones.
But it was like stuff like that. Like
it's just an example of like, and I can't think of others, but there's been some movies that have gotten sequels based on like, oh shit, well people did like it once we put
yeah,
it on video.
when it was on home video because it did great in rentals.
But to be honest, just like, I know these companies want to make money. I understand it does cost money to produce a physical product, but like, I'm not saying don't make it in bulk.
Yeah.
Make it limited, which will drive other people. Will drive people to one. It's like, oh shit, you're only printing 1,000 copies. I gotta get one. I guarantee you, if they did a 5,000 print cop, we'll go with a bigger number, 20,000.
Yeah.
Something for them to actually make a profit. They did a 20,000 print copy run of the Willow series. They would sell every single one of
Yeah,
those.
make them steel books. There you go.
Do whatever business thing you need to do. If like this is where we make profit, we need this many, and do it this way, we'll make profit. They would do it. People would buy it.
That's a very good point. Like,
Willow fan, there would be enough people, even if that many people didn't watch it on streaming, it would sell.
especially if maybe you bundle it with the original movie or something too.
A remaster
Mhm.
of the original movie.
Yeah.
Something that's again not expensive for you to do.
Not at all.
Presumably, you already did it for what. I assume the movie streaming on Disney Plus is probably, to some degree, remastered.
You know, AI can do that shit now.
So I don't think they haven't announced a date for the merger of Hulu.
Whatever there's going to
I
be.
will point out, in most other regions and countries, that's already the case. Hulu and Disney Plus are already. Hulu didn't exist in some countries.
On the opposite side, I am all for some of these streaming services just merging because I don't give a fuck about having 30 of them on my phone.
Well, you're in agreement with David Zaslav then. See, I think as of today, maybe this week, he made a statement saying some of us should merge.
I swear
He-
we
he
have
said-
talked about him almost every podcast.
That is he's he's big news. He's a normal, not weird guy at all. But you know what? In this, I don't disagree with him either, because also it's like I don't want to pay.
Yeah.
Some of you, I don't even know why I have you anymore. Like random stuff will pop up here that'll like, oh, I'll watch this.
In the last episode, Bruce Campbell being like, yeah, who the fuck watches Stars?
And that's why Ash vs. Evil Dead went away, because no one fucking watched Stars. Yeah, friend from work got rid of Stars.
Yeah.
Because
It's
he's
wild.
like, "No, what's nothing on here?
Yeah, there's nothing on there at all. It was bundled with Hulu for a while.
I mean, granted, if they did bundle, I'm sure they'd raise the price. I'm sure the actual money we'd put out would be exactly the same. But at least our digital streaming content, I don't know it still exists, but there's a thing called Verve
Oh yeah, Verve. It still
that
exists.
basically combined like Crunchyroll and
Yeah, it took all the anime
Rooster
stuff.
Teeth, Machinima crap.
Yep.
And it's just like, we're just an app that puts all that together. Like, you're still paying for all that
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
but it's all just right here. Like, that's great.
Yeah, no,
actually.
I know a ton
I'd
of
like
people
to
use
not
that.
have to click on 3 different things. It's just like all my shit is in one place. And maybe that also cut down on the contracts and shit like that. Like, oh, we only have a contract to
Right.
stream this for this amount of time. Even though some of it's like, but you made it. It's your thing. How can you not
It's so
own your
strange.
own thing?
You know
I heard
what? Yeah.
something this week that the CW, clearly owned by Warner Brothers, right?
Right.
Apparently, when they use DC characters, also owned by Warner Brothers,
Yes,
CW has to pay a licensing fee.
they sure do.
But to who?
To them.
to
That-
your own company.
That's
I
like
don't-
that's some
and
money
again, someone
laundering.
somewhere is making money, and like this makes sense to us. It's like,
That's like
but
Saul
you own all
Goodman.
of it.
Saul Goodman making the the car wash work for Walt.
Because I think CW is about to cancel one of their 2 remaining superhero shows, the Gotham Knights. Oh, and Clark and Lois or whatever.
I cannot tell you how much of a fuck I do not give about that.
But I think I don't really care. But I think like they'll probably cancel the Superman show because one, it probably is it's if you're having to pay the license for Superman, it's probably more expensive
Yeah.
than this Gotham Knights show that apparently has nobody in it.
Yeah.
As far as comic book, they made somebody up. I was like, oh yeah, just do that.
How
But
about
that
that?
was just weird. Of like, you have to pay yourself for something.
That's
that you
very incredibly
and
strange.
somehow you make a profit on that. I want to do that. Why don't we get?
Yeah.
Why don't we get paid for what we're doing right here?
Yeah, you should get
You know
paid
what?
from
You should
24.
definitely look and see if we have a Patreon, folks, and give us money.
Is that all the news that you had for this time?
Kind of just want to touch back on the writer's strike. It's still
Yeah.
going on.
I mean, with this stuff happening with like stuff like Willow getting lobbed behind, this is also very much part of what they're fighting for.
a lot of things have been affected. You definitely, if you watch any late night TV, you've already noticed that's all reruns now.
Yep.
Saturday Night Live has gone that way. Family Guy and American Dad writers have also, and the executive producers have also
Yes.
walked off and said they're in support. I don't know how much of that's completed. I'm sure they still have stuff they can air.
Yeah, I mean, they got so many reruns.
I don't watch the show, but Abbott Elementary, which I know is like a favorite of a lot of people.
I've
now.
legit never heard of this.
They're going in their 3rd season. They've joined their writers' room is supposed to open, I think this week. And they
Okay.
just said like, depending on when this gets resolved, we write our show while it's airing, so no matter what, now the season's going to be shorter.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
I know AMC's Walking Dead,
Okay.
which for whatever reason is not dead. Scripts for AMC's Walking Dead spin-off shows are done, but no production has started.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, presumably, they could still produce it and just got to work with the script as is.
Honestly, with that small of a team, I'd say the producers are probably on their side too, so can't really produce them either.
Yeah, I know that's been a case too of like Andor,
And actors.
who has a writer-producer. Who was still doing producing duties. Now he's like, nope, you know what? Nope, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, step away.
Big Mouth, which is I really like that show on Netflix.
Oh,
Going into
I
its
actually
last season.
We're finally at a crossroads here. I despise that show and I wish it would be
I
deleted.
mean, I haven't watched it in the last 4 years, but I like the first 2 seasons. It was funny.
I legit hated it.
Here's a big one that is actual news. Blade, the long-troubled
no.
Marvel movie, has shut down pre-production.
Oh, no.
Due to this. I at this point, I don't think that they're gonna fucking make this movie.
That's a shame. That's really a shame.
Cobra Kai has also closed its writer's room. And here's one that you're gonna hate this, Nemo. I know this is gonna wound you.
Oh no.
The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, will move forward with production on the 2nd season,
Oh, that's awful.
but the Amazon Prime Video show will not be using the services of executive producers J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, who are supporting the guild on strike. So what's interesting is I can't tell, like, does that mean that scripts are already written? Are you just going to do it without scripts? Also, since everyone hates the show, is this a good thing that, like, we're not going to use the 2 executive producers? We're just going to fucking wing it. Maybe
Maybe it'll be better.
Maybe this will be the only show in history where, like, this was a benefit to us.
How
But yeah,
about that?
not canceled, not going on hiatus. Like, nope, moving forward.
That is the most Amazon thing I've ever heard.
It's just odd of, like, spending so much money on this. Why wouldn't you wait?
Mm-hmm.
Stranger Things is also now halted.
How strange.
That also sucks. It was already going to be a long wait anyway. And now it's just like even longer. And I'm into it now. I want to know, like, what the end is. I know we're at the end.
Those kids are getting older.
They're just going to CGD age them. Yeah, I think that's all I've got on that. But not seeing any headway in the strike.
Yeah, I know they're getting tortured. Imagine Dragons showed up and did a concert for them.
For the writers.
Yeah, that's some psychological torture.
That would be funny if that's the producers did that. And again, this is what's going to lead to. Yeah, that's odd. You're about to start running out of potential content, Disney.
Yeah.
Why would you remove shit you already have on there?
It's
Well, at least
wild.
with Warner Brothers, we kind of got like, oh, it's a tax thing, and they did other stuff they did sell to like free streaming services, like they sold them, like Westworld got sold. But, like Disney's not doing that. They're just gonna make you pay. Like you want to watch Mighty Ducks?
Yep.
Pay us. Basically, they're becoming Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Where half the time I look for something on Amazon Prime, it's like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not,
gone.
It's not on Prime. I gotta pay you for it. I don't pay you for it.
We are but two
I already
clowns.
I already pay you for it.
We are but two clowns in a world circus.
So nothing much that we can do about the strike, but
We support you.
does suck. But this, you know what? In a year where we're now finally out of the pandemic, we're recovering theater wise.
Yeah.
Now it seems like we may 2024 may just be like, and we're back.
Yeah, we're back, baby. To segue into our next section, I'm
To
surprised.
roll on down to the trailer park.
Yeah. I can't believe that we didn't talk about this on the last couple episodes, but yeah, the next part of the MonsterVerse coming out with Godzilla X Kong.
I think we didn't talk about it because
There's not much to talk about, but you know,
it was
I love Godzilla.
Literally, it was a title reveal.
Yeah, a skull and a monkey.
To be fair, I didn't know they were making.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
didn't either.
assumed that they would do something.
The Apple TV show is still going strong. Should come out this year, I believe.
Is that for Peacock?
No, Apple.
Oh, right.
Apple TV.
Well, strangely, I now have Apple TV. So
Hey, and you know what? Prehistoric Planet Season 2 just dropped, so check that out. It is well worth it.
do you have Apple TV?
I have a friend.
Ah, I mean, you have Apple TV, Nemo. Don't let them. We don't share. Nobody shares anything.
The friend lives in my house, so how about that?
In a couple of years, they won't be okay with that either.
Okay.
Everyone's like, no,
Thank
you
you.
have your own. Wasn't that Netflix's way of doing this password thing? Was
There was some kind of
it's gotta check your Wi-Fi router. It's
Yeah.
like you've got to every like 5 weeks you've got to connect to this Wi-Fi.
fucking suck the back of my ball sack through my asshole, Netflix.
Even with that, I get it. I get it. You're a business. This shit is expensive, but you realize if you do this, you're not gonna. The people who weren't paying you aren't gonna be like, well, I guess I'll pay them now. They're just gonna fucking pirate it.
Yeah, yo ho ho.
You're going to. You want to recreate the Pirate Bay? That's what you're about to do.
That's what's happening. But okay, yeah, let's roll on down this trailer park.
I know which one you want to start with
Yes, the one I want to start with is
because you literally texted me
five.
and we're just like, I want to talk about
Yeah.
the Meg 2, the Meganing.
Man, fuck this
It's the
shit.
trench. It's Meg 2, the trench.
I'm
To
so
be correct.
I'm so fucking sick of this.
But it's got dinosaurs. You love
That's what I'm
dinosaurs.
sick of.
This has been 65 million years. Do you think that? Okay, so this trailer starts with like this little preamble. It seems like a sequel to Adam Driver's 65.
Hey, I watched that movie. We're not going to talk about it on the podcast because the movie sucked fucking ass and it was awful.
It's a bonus review for you folks.
It's very funny. We laughed the entire time.
And then a giant megalodon eats a T-Rex in a way that's not just reminiscent of Jurassic World, but may
Almost frame for frame.
partially be same effect.
And the T-Rex itself is also just a straight up rip model of Jurassic Park. They've got some non-dinosaur things running around like 65.
So here's what I didn't say when we watched it.
Yeah.
We did just watch this together.
Yeah, because you hadn't got to see it yet.
I don't know why they call it the Meg 2, to be honest. They should just call it the Meg or Meg the Trench.
Yeah, there's no reason for the two.
At least nothing in the trailer. They don't even indicate like that they've experienced this before. Like, yeah, I see the returning characters. We got to go get Jason Statham, but he's not like, oh, I've dealt with these before, or we need you because you've dealt with this before. In fact, they make lines of like, no one's ever seen this. That's
like-
the biggest megalodon I've ever seen. It's like,
It's like, you saw another. You only saw another one. Like,
I
of course.
think isn't the follow-up line that's the only one? I don't.
No,
whatever.
no, you said that.
Oh, oops. Sorry, I wrote a better line. But then the actual what the movie appears to be.
It's not
is-
just the megalodons, like a whole fucking.
First of all, there's 3
bunch.
this time instead of 2.
Yeah,
But also just
there's probably more. Let's be
Pacific
honest.
Rim level of prehistoric sea creatures.
I mean,
are
Pacific
coming
Rim
out
was
of
very
this.
obvious in this trailer. They had mech suits.
They have mech suits, underwater mech suits. But it reminds me of the camp horror movie remake Piranha.
Oh yeah,
And its sequel,
It's
Piranha 3D Double D,
it's very much like that.
which both of them knew exactly what they were and were going for very specific vibe. This pseudo seems serious up front. And I feel like the first one, while it is goofy and dumb, took itself seriously. This one is clearly a joke
Yeah,
with I'd argue more money behind it. this time.
absolutely more money. The
But again, like, why even? Not that it matters for the audience.
No.
So like, why call it two? Why even confuse anybody? So, oh, I didn't see the first one. I won't understand. Doesn't matter. As this has almost no bearing on those two things, other than like, yeah, Jason Statham's back, but he's also just playing Jason Statham.
yeah, he's just
And I'm sure you've seen the screenshot from the trailer of him
that's
putting a foot.
that's the poster, movie poster.
Oh, that's the poster.
That is the poster. One of them. There's 3 posters.
So Jason Statham putting his foot. I mean, I guess he's kind of pushing himself up off of the megalodon.
Yeah, it's so
Even though
fucking bizarre.
in still frame, it looks like he's holding it back with his foot, which is
Like
dumb, and it's
obviously
clearly on
not.
purpose.
Yeah,
But this movie also seems like it's ripping off a ton of shit.
yeah,
Not only did you pull up the Jurassic World thing, but one point a dock is being exploded behind Jason Statham.
with one fin in the middle.
It is done differently, but immediately was like, well, it's Godzilla
Yeah.
98.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's the American Godzilla. Zilla. It's Zilla, who Nemo is currently drinking his Barbasol Jurassic Park water bottle out of.
I found this at Goodwill. It's the Taco Bell cup holder.
You know what? I guess in the world, look, stupid dumb action movies. Oh, yeah, dude, I forgot about that. And then they use Barracuda because there's not a song called Megalodon. Although I bet there's a metal song called Megalodon. And I love Barracuda.
Honestly, the trailer uses the song pretty well.
It does. It's a well done trailer, but that's also, and they wanted me to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I immediately laughed in the opening lick. I was like, "You use Barracuda."
Yeah. I think the thing that makes me like mad though, like legit mad, is fine. You're throwing some dinosaurs as a little pre-intro. Why
Do you
not?
think that that's the pre-intro to the movie?
Yeah, definitely. It has to be. But
I just don't even feel like this movie would take itself that serious. I don't know.
but
They'd have to use it because they're not going to spend however many millions of dollars to make it
Right.
for this trailer. Like, oh, don't put it in the movie.
my problem though is like just be imaginative with your dinosaurs. There's so much science out there now that you don't have to make them all look exactly the same. Like, and also, why don't you just use the actual animals and not just make up generic creatures to hit?
I don't think this is the movie that.
No. This is a bigger problem than just this movie. I don't give a fuck about the Meg doing it, but it's just like 65 doing it.
You want a dinosaur movie that, if you're not going to be scientifically accurate, you want them to at least be fun. Have more fun with
I
it.
really
or
don't
be
care
accurate.
about. I don't give a shit about the accuracy. Just make them look different. That's my thing.
Well,
Peter
wait, 20
Jackson's King Kong made him look different.
Wait 20 more years. They'll remake Jurassic Park.
Probably. Also, as a side note, I'll throw this up on the Twitter.
Actually, fuck. I mean, maybe Kong and Godzilla will give you that.
I would like that.
So wait, what was the subtitle of the Kong Godzilla again?
Like a new empire.
Good,
This is
yeah.
the Japanese poster for the trench. I'll post this on Twitter with it. But apparently, a million of those lizards are pouring out of the megalodon's mouth. So maybe that's going to be a big subplot.
So is this why we're not getting a Jaws remake ever?
Probably.
Did the Meg actually? Did they just surpass Jaws? Like, fuck it, you can't do it now.
Yeah, go bigger, go home. Yeah. That movie trailer sucks. I'll watch the movie.
I didn't see the first one.
I did.
I watched CinemaSins of it and it's like, good enough.
I watched it in the theater, and when I left, this was when I was in college. Someone that went to the college was like, "Best movie ever, dude. I love that."
You know, strangely,
I was like, "Okay."
because the first one's based on a book. I'm sure this one is. There probably are follow-up books. I'm sure this one.
You know
is
what?
Not.
I'll give the first Meg movie something. The first 30 minutes was actually a really cool movie, and then it literally blew it out of the water and ruined it.
I have no idea how much the first movie follows. Said book.
Yeah, not
But I know that the book, I think, is kind of gory or violent in its description.
this. Yeah,
And the movie's PG-13, so it's
It is.
not. I will give it. I was surprised in this trailer when it eats the T-Rex. I was like,
yeah, it's quite a bit of
that's
blood,
quite a lot of blood.
but
I
monster
guess
blood.
you can get away with it because, like, well, it's a dinosaur monster blood. It's whatever.
it's fine.
But I was still like, wow. In the trailer, nonetheless, like, wow, that's a lot.
The big scene in the movie though that this trailer kind of mirrored was the ending is CGI
Jonas
Jason's
jet ski
he like
with a harpoon
yeah,
towards
jumps straight up in the sky and then he
Perfect
lands
storm.
on him. It's pretty bad.
I would be more inclined to enjoy this level of dumb action, which I'm not opposed to. Honestly, if it was rated R, if it would just go full piranha, just like
I
just give
would
me a lot
also
of
be fine with that.
you don't have to do boobs and stuff. I mean,
Like I don't hate the movie because I recognize it for what it is.
it was bad at it.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
It's also my question is, who wanted this sequel? I
It
mean, I
came
know the
out-
first movie clearly did well enough.
The first movie was a summer movie, but it also came out right after Kong Skull Island. So a lot of people were like, could this be part of the MonsterVerse? Because, Warner Brothers and a giant shark. There was a lot of theories online at the time as could there be an after credit scene where Godzilla shows up?
Warner Brothers doesn't own Godzilla anymore, does it? It's just Legendary.
It's still with Warner Brothers.
I bet Legendary won't let them bring Meg into it.
Oh no, they wouldn't have done that anyway.
Well, that was trailer number 1.
Yep,
It's you know what? It's a movie.
it's happening.
They made it. Trailer number 2 is more of a teaser, but to be honest, it's a trailer. It's actually, I would say, it's all that they should show, and that is our next video. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it will be our next video game movie, Five Nights at Freddy's, which I'd argue is barely a game, but I realize I was not the demographic for it.
It's also
fine.
made by one dude. That's cool.
I like that aspect. And the concept and plot of Five Nights at Freddy's are just the idea of like animatronics being creepy. Because like, look, I grew up in the age of Chuck E. Cheese, and like I did like that band, but it was also like there's a level of like
This is scary.
it's kind of scary. And if I was in that building by myself in the dark, fuck yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
like, actually don't cover those things up. I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah.
So I'm just not gonna be a part of this.
So yeah, the Five Nights at Freddy, Five Nights at Freddy told me everybody's
FNAF.
fly. DJ Spinner said my. No, this the entire series got picked up by kids for some reason. Very
because they
strange.
liked watching people get scared. That's
Yeah,
I can tell you from history of working in GameStop.
absolutely.
I know there are kids who most of them never played the game.
Mhm.
They literally watch Markiplier and PewDiePie or just any
Someone,
random person
one of their friends.
play it and scream at the screen. That's it. I mean, it's the game has its merits, but it really became sold on the fact
I mean,
of
literally the first game is a point and click.
It's jump scare
Just a couple
the
pictures.
game. And they made 5 of them that essentially was like, this is the same thing over and over again. And then but
Then the stories
They-
started coming out.
the lore sort of hiding
Books,
it deep
comics.
and obscurely in there. But again, its popularity stemmed from, and for kids, it's watching Markiplier scream at it.
When it came out, I was in high school and I was like, "Oh, this shit's lame."
As
But then I got a little older. I was like, "Oh wow, this
I'd
story's
have-
kind of cool."
I have little kids come into my shop and like buy the plushies, buy the toys, buy the Lego.
Mhm.
Well, not Lego, but generic Lego.
Yeah, whatever
set.
those things are.
And sometimes this stuff would get returned.
Mm-hmm.
And it would get returned because the kid was fucking frightened of it.
Yep,
But they still loved this. Was like, why do you like it? Like if it
it's
scares you like this.
it's really strange.
And again, this is the beginning of the age of kids also not playing video games, but watching someone else play video games.
There's a very strange video on Markiplier's channel back when that Goosebumps movie came out with Jack Black, because for promotion,
There's one I'm surprised didn't get a sequel.
it did.
With Jack Black?
It got a second one.
Oh, all right. Never mind.
But yeah, so Jack Black and his at the time very young son were like they partnered with Markiplier and to do like some scary videos for the movie coming out. And it's the most uncomfortable video ever because Jack Black does not want to be there. He's really worried about his son being too scared of this game. And obviously Markiplier is like nervous because
It's Jack Black.
yeah, it's a celebrity and he's not happy. Like it's Jack Black and he's pissed. So like the entire time they're just like playing the game and the kid's not really saying anything. And every time something happens, Jack Black is like, "Are you okay? Do you want to stop?" Like maybe he's scared of the game, but it's like that's how wildly
Spoiler
popular
alert.
this was.
I'm going to break this news right now. Post-credit scene of Five Nights at Freddy's. Jack Black's in it. He's Freddy Fazbear.
He cuts off one of their heads and goes decapitation.
And Nicolas Cage is coming. But I'll give it this. It's not Willy's Wonderland, which
Yeah.
is, even though that director claims like Five Nights at Freddy's
Shut
had
up.
nothing to do with it, was like, it did. Do.
Literally, shut up.
It's fine. Like, just lean into it. Just admit, like, yeah,
There's a short film on Hulu that was made part of their spooky
yeah,
like
that
thing.
and that was pretty cool.
Really well done. But that one's kind of like a parody of the what is it, the something pizza bear? I forgot his name. It was like literally the bear, but just
Dick the Birthday Boy's bear.
yeah.
Showtime Pizza
Yeah,
Bear.
Showtime Pizza. So this one is, full on Five Nights at Freddy's made by Blumhouse Productions featuring Josh Hutcherson, which I really like him. After watching Future Man, he is a great actor.
Yeah, don't Hunger Games judge him.
Yeah. Like seriously.
Spoiler alert, though, he's in the end credits of Serpents and Sparrows or whatever that Hunger Games movie is.
Sure.
I'm just going to keep dropping those all episode.
And Matthew Lillard is one of the main antagonists of this movie.
No, I didn't even fucking see
Yeah,
him.
because he doesn't look like him.
Look, I'm from the trailer. I'm in. I don't give a shit about the game.
Yeah, you have practical effects. That's what I'm all about.
The costumes look like
Legit
exactly
things.
what I know of the characters.
So I told you off air, but people on Twitter are very mad at this movie and trying to Sonic it. They're trying to get people to change it because they're mad that the eyes are red and not white.
But
Because apparently in the game they're
glowed
white.
red. Like they were white before, and then they turn red when the evil happens.
I guess they don't.
That
like
was what I thought I saw in the trailer.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And look,
and the movie poster has all the characters with their eyes red.
I guarantee I know that I've seen pictures of these things with their eyes red on stuff in the fucking shop that I ran.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Also, if that's all they're angry about, cool. Go ahead.
That's the most pointless thing to be mad about.
Maybe they'll give you a white eyes version.
You should feel lucky that they're not just CGI monstrosities.
Also, again, for a franchise that's arguably 5 to 6 years late from when it was at its peak.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of this, if you like this world, you also just be happy that
it's
you're
gonna be
getting
pretty
this
fun.
at all. And it does appear that they're
Hey.
honoring if not the lore, they're honoring the vibe of the game.
Yeah, there's going to be some kid murder in this movie.
Do we know? Is it rated R? Is it PG-13?
I'm not sure. The Bite of 87?
Is that a reference?
Yeah, it's a very popular one.
No.
It became a meme where Markiplier screams it.
I guess when I see the movie, I'll get it.
Maybe. But yeah, I'm actually very, very, very much looking forward to it. It's just a 47-second teaser.
They get a lot in there.
They sure do.
Like it wasn't,
Which makes me think the movie's only going to be like maybe an hour and 15 minutes. I mean, you can't really do too much with at least the first one.
What makes you think they're just doing the first one? It looked like that. It looked like more because I would argue if the first one it would just be Josh in the thing.
Yeah,
and clearly
that's why I said it because I'm pretty sure the other ones get
stuff where it's like, oh, other things are happening.
I think they're mixing some of the original books and stuff with this one.
Also, I don't know, like it's Blumhouse, so I know they're probably trying to go franchise wise, but like just try to make a good one. Just do good by this.
Exactly.
And if it does well, then follow it up.
What's the next one?
Well, we're gonna do Dune 2, but we didn't rewatch it. And here's the thing.
You know what?
I
kind of forgot about that.
There's pretty images. There's music. New actors are there. Dune continues.
He rides a worm.
Oh yeah, the main thrust of the trailer is he gets on the worm, and we still don't really get a good look at the worm, but whatever. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna see it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
the trailer didn't get me excited for it though.
I'm pretty excited to look at pretty visuals.
I'm curious though how much they are going to do, or how resolute this is going to feel. One, if it even is going to end, or is it going to be like, now stay tuned for part 3?
Yeah,
because one, the Book of Dune is huge on its own, and then the series goes on for quite some time.
Oh yeah.
Like it turns out to not even be about Paul, Timothée Chalamet's character. Like his kid turns into like a weird space worm monster thing. So I don't know like how much resolution we're going to get here, and I don't know. But I'll be there. I'll see it in 3D. So you'll get all the money you can from me, Denis Villeneuve, Warner Brothers. So that would take us to Gran Turismo.
Yep.
And
I gotta say I'm surprised.
I don't know.
It was before Guardians.
I saw this before Guardians.
Yep.
So this is a great segue.
Yep.
Tell you what I didn't know. I didn't know this was based on a true story. And when that came up in the trailer, I did laugh out loud. I was like, what?
Like, what do you mean?
And as it went on, I was like, I Googled, I was like, oh shit, this did happen.
Because when we announced that movie was coming out, we were like, how do you make a movie out of this?
I thought, they made a Need for Speed movie 10 years ago. And
that's kind of what I was thinking too.
It's like,
oh,
seems
no.
making Call of Duty movies, like just making military action movie and then say Call of Duty.
Yeah, this actually makes sense.
And Gran Turismo, you could have just done it.
Yeah.
And just like,
Sure.
all right, cool. That was Gran Turismo. Because fuck, the game doesn't even have semblance of story.
No, it's just racing cars.
But when the trailer also opened and like they showed the game case, I'm like, oh, hold on, this is weird.
Yeah.
What?
It also got
It's
me.
gonna be some Mario shooters are gonna get sucked into the game.
Yeah. No, it's just an actual down to earth movie. Like, there's nothing like crazy about it. It's just a
So-
kid trying to race.
I'm interested in this story that I'm sure has been overly dramatized. For this
Oh, for
movie.
sure.
It's not exact. Some of this I'm sure didn't happen. It definitely didn't happen the way this movie's going to present it.
Yeah.
From the first teaser, before we knew any of this, though, I was excited for the car races. Looking at the look of them,
Yeah.
and how they were filmed, was like, at the very least, this will be exciting. These parts will look cool. And kind of agrees. Like, that's all I can ask.
Yeah.
If in between this you got stupid talking people, but then car races, okay.
Yeah, it's an actual just a racing movie.
And I like Neil Blomkamp. I actually,
This is a strange choice for him.
it is. I'm glad that he's
Yeah,
doing studio work
for sure.
And this I think would be the first thing he's directed. He didn't write. I didn't see if he did write this.
I don't believe he
I
did.
don't believe he did. So that's also interesting. And again, I do like his work. Elysium is my least favorite, and I also know I'm a minority. I like Chappie.
Yeah.
Don't care. I like it. Yeah, Diane Ward's weird, but like I like the little Chappie robot. All right, I like him. I want my own Chappie. And also, he beats the fuck out of mulleted Wolverine. That's pretty cool. So I'm in. I'm in for this movie. I'm in for Sony, PlayStation. Let me rephrase. I'm in for PlayStation Studios.
Yeah.
Cool. He gave us The Last of Us. Some people love it. Some people hate it. But at the very least, you know what? It's a competently made piece of. No one's done that before.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal. Well, who knows what that's going to be? But like, hopeful.
It's happening.
Gran Turismo looks good. You chose an interesting way in which to do it.
It didn't. I don't believe it had any pop music in the trailer either.
Nope,
Actually,
I don't
it
remember.
was played very seriously.
So yeah.
Yeah, it actually looks very like a good movie. Like
Would it
very much
be-
like a good movie.
Would it be weird? Would it be weird if it is like really good? Like the Academy's like, best movie nominee, Gran Turismo.
I would love that.
And also I like David Harbour too, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you're a surly coach. Just got to get this video game kid into the car. Like, okay.
yeah. You got
Also, this is this is gonna be a dream movie
Orlando Bloom.
for young kids. Even if you don't like cars or don't like racing games, this is gonna be like real life The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
Where a kid was like, oh, good at the Starfighter games. Like, actually, that game is a recruiting thing.
Yeah,
for
I
a
mean,
secret space mission.
Like the story itself is very much has been done 100 times, but playing it more seriously, it's pretty cool.
Those are.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we do have one last trailer, an unexpected trailer
Yeah, very much unexpected.
from Gareth
Edwards.
who originally did Monster and then gave us brought back the big monster to America.
Yeah,
Gave us a Godzilla that featured very little Godzilla.
about 14 minutes of them.
I think it's actually 10. I think it's
Oh.
10 minutes. But
Maybe it's 14 minutes of monster.
You know what?
fighting.
Godzilla might have more screen time than Bryan Cranston got in that movie.
It sure did.
The
He's gonna
movie-
take us back to the Stone Age.
The movie's well made. It's just you didn't give me either of the two things.
It's
I
very
wanted.
disappointing. Still fun though.
Give us Rogue One.
Honestly, the opening of that Godzilla movie is amazing, and I wish the whole movie had matched that vibe.
Trailer's amazing.
That too.
Just watch the trailer. Gave us Rogue One. I like Rogue One.
It's okay.
Probably would like to see the Rogue One cut that Disney didn't do.
I still
that
don't
we
really
know
like Star
exists.
Wars that much, but I was happy to watch a movie where I'm like, you know what? I know how it's gonna end. Get me there.
I also like the fact that it's like I know you all die.
Yep.
Because you have to. You have to die because you don't exist in the story.
Exactly.
And look, even if you don't like Star Wars, and this may have been Disney's doing, but I'll also argue like 20 seconds of Darth Vader just killing people. It's like,
It's cool.
this is cool.
They gave him the red
could-
lens eyes like the original movie.
You could hate all the rest of that movie, but everyone I think will agree is like, okay, well
It was
I'd
cool.
watch a movie of this dude just killing people.
That's what everyone wants.
So
yeah,
this movie,
I like
the
his
creator,
stuff. Yeah, creator.
starring John David Washington,
Yes. Denzel's son, right?
Mr. Tenet. He's been in other stuff, but Tenet's the biggest thing. But yes, Denzel Washington's son, and you can see it in his face. I don't want to say it looks like generic sci-fi because it's not. It definitely has its own aesthetic. of
It's
robots and cyborgs.
It almost has like a futuristic retro vibe to it.
It's clearly got, clearly has some religious stuff is at play. One from the title of the
Definitely.
trailer, but also visuals we see almost what looks like Buddhist monks.
And he has a
And
returning actor in this movie too.
Some, Ken Watanabe,
Yeah.
maybe others, we don't know.
True.
Maybe Godzilla's in there. Bryan Cranston's one of the robots, but he dies. But here's my thing. And watching it the second time with you is like, okay, there does seem to be a little bit more, but basic premise, as they say, is like the AI that we created to protect us dropped a nuke on LA 5 years ago. And now the robots are just here and like we're fighting for our lives. And I'm just like, oh,
yeah.
Is this the movie that Terminator Salvation wanted to be? This is just the future war of Terminator?
Terminator can dream on.
Yes. Nemo did have an issue with the song that played in the trailer because all he can picture is Kratos falling off a cliff meme, which I didn't know about. So now he's tainted it for me.
But also, I don't like Aerosmith. So
you'd have been happier if they used the Eminem version.
Probably.
Eminem sampled that song for something.
I'm going to be real with you. I didn't know Eminem did that.
It was early. He still had blonde hair. It was early in his career. But yeah, that's the whole time watching it. All I could think was, this is just Terminator, but without Terminators.
And some of the graphics very Halo-ish.
Which, and they look good.
They actually look good for a trailer.
Early trailer, although presumably it's probably the first ones that they finished.
And
but again, you don't get that a lot these days. Sometimes studios are just like, fuck it, put the unfinished scene in there right now. We'll fix it later.
The poster actually looks pretty good too.
What do we got? Oh, and the other part we have with this too is there's not a John Connor kid. Instead, it's a robot kid.
Yeah, 11.
It's an 11. Also gives me Eddie Murphy Golden Child vibes.
Oh, yeah,
that's a deep cut. If you're
with the upload of this episode, I'll show that too. It's actually nice looking poster.
It actually kind of has a Star Warsy vibe to that too.
But at least there's no floating heads in the void.
Nope, no actors in the image at all. I'll see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's not like it looks bad. And I like Gareth Edwards, and like
it looks weird.
And maybe it's one of those trailers too, where it's like, don't give away the stuff I want to do. So we've had a couple movies since doing the show where it's like, that trailer was dumb. Then we watched it. It was like, oh,
movie was good.
It was good. I understand why you did this dumb trailer. And this trailer's not dumb. It's just the premise you set forth is like,
and the music choice is fine. I just the song being personally ruined for me doesn't reflect on the trailer.
But that trailer would have, I do like that song, and its use in this is good.
It could have also not been in it.
It does the drama that it needs to do, but it doesn't. You're right. That's the thing as we say. Doesn't need it. In fact, the trailer would probably be stronger if you just did score music or instrumental music.
For sure.
Pull a Hans Zimmer track.
Yeah,
he's got a ton of them. They've been great. Do some Interstellar. Who cares?
The robots in this actually does kind of remind me of Chappie. They have like antenna ears.
I'm curious to see, I do want to see more of the world, so I'll give him that. Like,
Apex Legends. That's what it reminds me of.
It has a.
There was a game that it was on the tip of my tongue.
I would guarantee you that Gareth Edwards probably fucking plays Apex Legends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
On that note, on the video game front, I'll never get it, but I would love a Titanfall movie. Comment. You know what? You want me to read your stupid emails? Email about Titanfall. I'll read and I'll comment about that. Do you want a Titanfall movie? Let's make it happen.
Let's rock and roll with this one.
Also, even if it's not Titanfall, don't
you got Pacific Rim?
Don't you just want a mech movie? Pacific Rim's not even like that's like giant robots.
Yeah.
Don't you just want just like a mech movie? Fucking mech anime brought to life. Come on, we can do it. We have it. We have the technology now. Armored Core 6, the game is coming out. Let's get an Armored Core movie. Anyway, I digress.
Well, with all the trailer talk out of the way, you ready to get to our feature presentation?
I am, and you know what I'm going to say? This movie lived up to its trailer, and it had one. Actually, every one of its trailers were good. They're mostly the same, but they did use two different songs.
They did,
and both of them were also very good.
And they're also both used in the movie.
They're out there in the movie,
which is also great.
Marvel Studios, James Gunn's Guardian of the Galaxies, Volume 3.
This is very much a extremely anticipated movie since it was announced when James Gunn got fired and before Infinity War. So a lot of people, when Infinity War happened, was like, how the fuck is Guardians 3 going to happen now? Because they're all gone.
I will say this: I've seen an interview with James Gunn where some stuff we're going to talk about here later in this review. There were things that he didn't want to happen in Infinity War that the Russos just overrode and like,
Yeah.
no, we're going to do this. What you're thinking of though, Gamora's death wasn't one of them. He was fine with that.
Yeah.
Apparently, also because he knew that Zoe Saldana doesn't want to play Gamora for very long.
Yeah.
And in fact, he had considered killing her in Volume 2.
Yeah. I think
For a while, I think she dies in Volume 2, and then the story changed a little bit.
decided not to because honestly, he probably was talking with the Russos and they're like, hey, we were thinking this.
But I do still, there's a couple bits in here where I do get a vibe of him, not on a soapbox, but him being, I can hear James Gunn in dialogue and just like, are you angry that they did some stuff and you had to like work around this? But also credit to a good writer who's like, okay, I'll make this work.
Yes.
And tell what I want to do. And I also saw an interview too where he almost didn't want to come back to this.
Yeah, almost.
I'm sure because of dealings with Disney and
I'm pretty sure it was
also,
the
as he
actors.
Said, he had let it go. He had buried it because he thought.
Because Disney, because he let it go. Elsa.
You like that?
Yeah.
That's totally intentional. I meant that. But that the reason he really came back, one, I'm sure they offered him a lot of money.
For sure.
But the real reason that I think as an artist he came back was he'd always intended to tell Rocket's story and he didn't want to leave the character hanging.
Yeah.
And Bradley Cooper's even stated when he met with him that James Gunn told him this is what Rocket's story is. And Bradley Cooper said, like, he did exactly what he told me 10 years ago. Like, that this is what Rocket's story was going to be. And as we get into this review, we'll see it. But like, Rocket has kind of been the actual protagonist of this whole trilogy.
And
it's also James Gunn. He said that in an interview, like, Rocket is him. That's who he relates to and who he loves the most. But I found that very interesting that it wasn't, that this almost wasn't a James Gunn movie. That he could have been like, nope.
Especially when he went over and started working with like Suicide Squad and Peacemaker.
Which, I mean, when you look at his Suicide Squad, you can feel not just the James Gunn, but you can feel some Guardians.
Yeah,
he's good. He's got stuff he's very good at.
And with this movie
and
too,
also a lot of them are in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. But
I'm surprised. To be honest, I'm surprised John Cena's not in this movie.
Right. Well, he could have been. We just didn't see him.
That's also true.
But I don't know. We did see Drax, so.
So there's going to be spoilers, but not yet.
Yeah, and I will say, if you want to have some snacks with this movie, you can head on over to McDonald's and get the Guardians Happy Meal.
Is it really a Guardians Happy Meal?
Yeah.
I am okay.
Yes.
We're gonna touch on it because I'm not surprised because I guess every one of these every Marvel movie of late has had McDonald's Happy Meal thing, a Wakanda box.
Yep.
But wow, okay. Because here's what I'll say before we get anything else. Like,
this is not a kids movie. So yeah, you can go over there and get your kiddos some toys with it. It's got a little roundup. You can get. I know
these are still though. You know what? I say it's not a kids movie, but at the same time, I come from an age where kids movies had dark and fucked up shit in it.
Yeah, you can get Groot, you can get Drax, Star-Lord, Nebula, Rocket, Mantis, Cosmo, or
no Gamora.
No Gamora, but you can get Adam Warlock.
Well, I guess she's not technically a Guardian, so.
Also, I'll post this too, but the Star-Lord kind of looks like the dude from Star Trek, top left. It's like Riker. Is that his name?
Yeah, that does look like Riker. Good call. No mask in this one.
No.
Which James Gunn, he also commented on. One, explained away story-wise of he didn't have time to grab it.
Isn't it in the trailer?
No.
I'm pretty sure he puts the mask on in the trailer.
I haven't seen it. I didn't see a trailer where he put the mask on.
Okay.
Because through the movie,
hold that
thought. I did want the mask.
Yes.
But his reasoning is like, oh, that does make sense. He didn't have time to grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But apparently, the mask gets fucked up in Volume 2, and his canon was that it was broke. But the Russo brothers overrode that and was like, well, we want him to have the mask in Infinity War.
And it's also in Thor.
So this movie had a $250 million budget, and you definitely see every dollar of that up on the screen.
Absolutely.
And also, this is news for a Marvel movie of late. I think all of the effects look good.
Yeah, there wasn't a moment in this movie where I was like, "Oh, that looks terrible."
Had a $118 million opening, which I think is a little bit below Volume 2, but we live in a different world.
Also, Mario is still cleaning up at the box office.
Yeah, Chris Pratt able to have the number 1 and number 2. He's able to beat himself.
We'll talk about that later too.
To date, it's got $220 million domestic and 536 worldwide, and that's in 2 weeks, which already tops what Ant-Man did.
Yep. Like during its entire run.
And I think generally speaking, even though I've seen some people who were lukewarm on it, haven't seen anyone who didn't like it. Kind of.
The biggest criticism
reviews.
I've heard is that people say it feels too rushed. That the ending feels like it's kind of tacked on a little
I
bit.
saw that, and like Jay from RLM said the ending feels rushed and tacked on.
I don't think I agree
agree.
too much.
Also, that Adam Warlock feels inserted in there, and to a degree, I can see where they get that vibe because you could arguably you could take him out, and it wouldn't.
There's no
change.
reason for Adam Warlock to be in this movie, so
than-
it went all out.
They teased him in the last one, so it's like, well, I guess I got to do it.
But they went all out with his introduction to the movie to the point where I'm like, this is awesome. I don't care what he has in the movie because his introduction was so cool.
And for me, literally everything in this movie worked.
Yeah.
Everything. And I've actually seen it a second time now.
Yeah.
I'm
going to be seeing it again this weekend.
My one criticism I'll give to it is the pacing is a little clunky, not slow or off. And there's not a scene that I would say to cut. There's not a scene where I'm like, oh, you sharpen this up.
I would almost add more.
It's more of the clunkiness is simply we have a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of things that he needs to story-wise tell, like
Yes.
for every character to get their arc and for the story of the movie to happen and Rocket's flashbacks, the current story. But it still works. But I would say like, yeah, there's chunks that are clunky.
I will say for this movie, like, all the characters get their due. They all get their story that we've come to know and love.
Everybody, even those that were introduced in the Christmas special,
Yeah.
like Cosmo. Well, I guess Cosmo was technically introduced in
the
Volume
first
1,
one, but
didn't
still
talk. I don't think
no, never. Well, they were locked in those things and they couldn't. Their
Right,
voices
Howard the
couldn't
Duck
come.
talked.
Yeah. But after he broke out, the only character in this that doesn't really have like a story wrap up, I guess, didn't really need one, and it was Groot. Groot really didn't have a lot to do in this movie, but the last few movies have been almost nothing but Groot. So, I'm cool with that. He still has good scenes, and he has a good like finale and stuff.
I think Groot's arc, his story has been literally his body's growth.
Yeah, I mean, technically, the Groot that we have here is
It's a different Groot.
it's I guess the Groot's son. The original Groot's son was the best way to classify. I mean, he is a twiggling off the original.
I mean, if we have to put our own human Karen constructs on
Yeah.
the Groots. But I would say this may be the best and most consistent trilogy in the MCU.
I definitely agree with that.
Somewhat because it's disconnected from the MCU in a way.
Very disconnected.
But at the same time, Guardians is the formula of the MCU. I know Iron Man technically set the actual formula, right?
Yeah.
But what Marvel wants to do in everything is Guardians, which is
It
have high
kind of
drama.
ruined the rest of the movies.
to have comedic quips and big action. Everything since Guardians has tried to be that. Even DC did it. Their first Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Literally, you could watch the trailers change before that movie came out because it was like, be Guardians. I want you to be Guardians.
Literally
And then,
down
fuck,
to
and
making
then what did they
glowing
do?
lights.
DC fucking got the guy who made Guardians. Like, will you do Suicide Squad
Will
again
you please
for us?
make this?
We
We won't even name it a different thing. Just call it the Suicide Squad.
He's like, I will, but this time I'm going to say fuck and I want blood in it. But this Guardian's also MCU's first F-bomb.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler alert. It's been
No,
widely known news. Also, I love the fact that it's not used in a dramatic moment. It's not even a highlight. It's just fucking there.
Very nonchalantly. Open the fucking door.
But James Gunn and this group of Guardians hits just the right notes for the swan song.
Yeah.
And if you were feeling let down by Marvel in the last year and a half, I think this will revitalize your feelings.
I do also think this movie is a great stopping point if you want to just jump off the Marvel boat.
I also feel that. It's a weird feeling where it's like, you've made me interested in this world again.
Spider-Man was also a good one to do that with. But now
But
this
it
one's
didn't
a
feel
true.
like we weren't ready to jump off. We're like,
Yeah.
okay, where are we going next? But now we've been. Here's the thing: I don't think anyone's having fatigue. I don't think that's a thing. I think we've just had bad movies. I think
You're gonna get
Marvel
fatigued of seeing terrible movies.
Marvel has gotten lazy. Not just Marvel.
Every studio.
Even if you fucking hate Zack Snyder, but since Zack Snyder, they've gotten lazy as well. Other than James Gunn's Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, which is again why they fucking like, will you just do this, please? And this reminds you of like, this is why you like the MCU. Also, honestly, this is a movie. This is why you go to the movie theater.
I would also agree.
It is literally that kind of movie. Even if you don't like crazy sci-fi stuff, like this is just it's fun. It's heartfelt. And that's what also has been missing from the MCU. You can tell James Gunn cares about these characters and this
also
story.
the actors caring about their characters.
Even the ones who are done, because some of them are done.
Batista is also infamously being like, yeah, I'm done.
They take reverence with these characters, and everyone wants to be there.
I would say Zoe Saldana likes that character more than she does anything in her Avatar movies.
It was nice to get to see her be a character because, I mean,
yeah,
she didn't do anything in Avatar. But, I'm not going to feel bad for an actress who is in 3 of the top 5 highest grossing movies.
Yeah.
But the
She's
story
in 4 now.
Well, if this makes it that far.
Well, Infinity War and Endgame, she is in both.
Infinity War, actually, I think, Infinity War is number 5, I think. So the story of this, after Rocket is gravely injured by the previously teased Adam Warlock, the Guardians race off on an adventure to fix him while we discover the story of his origin, culminating in a send-off and satisfying arc for all involved. I feel like this maintains the wild space opera aesthetic of the prior 2.
It really does. While
upping the dramatic ante and paying tribute to the fact that this is a closer.
Oh, yeah.
And pushing, I would say modernly anyway, the PG-13 limit, especially for Marvel. This is what a good time at the cinema is all about, and what the MCU has not only been missing since Endgame and No Way Home: heart, passion, and vision. And I don't mean the Vision, but we haven't missing him. He's been gone since WandaVision.
Where is White Vision?
And that's the thing too, is I don't think that James Gunn is an auteur. Even he would say that because he thinks that's pompous. But we know these last couple of MCU films have had Disney or someone else in the editing room. We know there have been reshoots done weeks before with Ant-Man.
Everything.
I still think Ant-Man's was not a great movie, but I think there's a good movie in there that we didn't get to see.
For sure.
Thor: Love and Thunder, I don't know. I don't think Taika Waititi wanted to make that fucking movie. I just think he wanted a paycheck. He's like, fine.
Sure. I think he pulled a Freddy Got Fingered on that one.
But what this has is Vision, and I do not believe Disney was. I would almost argue that was James Gunn's also stipulation of like, you let me make, if you want me to do this.
This certainly felt more like a DC movie than it did like a Marvel movie, like with its violence level.
He definitely. So let's just get. I want to be able to talk about spoilers. So
yeah, we can go ahead and.
I'm going to say, see this in theaters, buy this on Blu-ray,
which it absolutely will be.
I hope. It probably won't happen, but I hope the Blu-ray has the Christmas special.
I could see them being really cheeky and making a Star-Lord mask as the collection.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's not about him. It's about Rocket.
They could also do like a cool like cassette tape look too.
I'd buy any of it.
Yeah.
But I hope they put the Christmas special on there just so I can get it off Disney Plus. But also, it doesn't play a big role in this, I guess. But like, the fact that Peter's Mantis's brother gets mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't see the Christmas special, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Although you can kind of deduce it from Volume 2. But
really, the Christmas special just adds a little bit of extra background that's not necessary, but it adds to the world building.
I will also say, because you and I did talk about this off air, I know I didn't like Volume 2 as much when I first saw it. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't.
Volume 2 is still my favorite.
It wasn't the first one. And when I rewatched it eventually, I was like, oh, I do like this more.
Actually, rewatched it again the other day.
Here's why I now know. I mean, if you really want to know why, you could go find my old Watch Talk Repeat episode and hear what I thought at the exact moment. But the first one and this one are adventures.
Yes.
Volume 2, it's literally like an episode. is we don't go on an adventure. We are on Ego. And Groot and Rocket and Yondu escape the Ravagers and go to Ego.
What makes that movie for me is the soundtrack.
It's not. I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I'm saying I missed the adventure, and this
definitely delivered on that.
Has an adventure again.
I agree with that. For me, Volume 2, though, I think I liked it so much because it's almost like just one room, so it was lots of character building. But
I think now
as it was like the best for me.
I think as a complete trilogy, Volume 2 now stands for me even better. Of like, oh, okay, now you work even better.
This movie adds to that movie, but then they also play off each other.
Well, because we get a, even though Peter gets the big story there, and we meet his dad, and that was a big deal, and also find out like I put a tumor in your mom's head. What? And also like, yeah, you're half god, Peter, which is weird as like how little that's come back into play. But
it did explain in that movie that if the planet dies, then he's no longer a god.
But Rocket has a lot in that movie that happens for him with him and Yondu, where Yondu's like, I know you, boy.
Yeah.
Because I am you.
You're
just like a professional asshole or something.
Yeah, you're me.
And Rocket goes through, and I'm looking forward to this coming out on Blu-ray to marathon all 3 volumes.
Yeah.
One, just for fun of like seeing the story, but I think you will also notice like, oh wow, no, it looks like this is Peter's story, but really it's Rocket's story. Also, do want to point out, it's cool. I didn't realize every one of these movies opens with a song and dance number.
Sure does.
Star-Lord dances in the opening of the first one. Groot dances in the opening of the second one.
Yeah, you had the first movie was Come and Get Your Love with a Redbone. The second one was Mr. Blue Sky by ELO.
And now, because we're in the 90s for the volumes, and because this is Rocket's story, we get Creep, the acoustic version of Creep from Radiohead.
Yep.
Not so much dancing, although Mantis is dancing. And again, sets up a character arc for Drax right there too. It's like, dance, Drax. Like, only idiots dance.
That's what he said in the first movie and the second movie. Drax was
he also said he had sensitive nipples, but he's wearing a lot of shirts now. But I get it, Dave. I get it. That's a lot of fucking makeup.
Yeah. Well, before we get into complete spoilers for it, I will say that...
Did that look cool?
I really liked this movie, and I did see it in theaters, and I'm going to go see it again. I definitely recommend seeing and buying this one.
I even recommend, if it doesn't hurt your eyes, see it in 3D.
Yeah, I saw it in standard, and I'm going to see it in IMAX 3D now.
It was you don't have to, but it's a fun 3D. It's fun in 3D.
I saw that the first Guardians was one of the first 3D movies I actually saw. And I saw I don't know, something before that, but this was the one where I was like, I actually like this 3D thing.
Like, I don't think I know he doesn't shoot them in 3D, but I feel like James's eye, in the way he frames it up anyway, like it works well. There was also, I noticed, he is improved as a filmmaker every time.
Absolutely, he's learning.
I mean, even from Volume 2 to the Suicide Squad, really honing his and from Suicide Squad to Peacemaker, as a writer, really honing his craft. And because this movie does a really good job of not being too funny. I don't just mean because it's dark and deals with some stuff. It lets dramatic moments be dramatic moments.
It lets them ride.
Don't get me wrong. He will. He can bring humor in to undercut something, and he can transition very well. But we don't have a Thor Ragnarok moment where Asgard explodes and Korg's like, well, that sucks.
I'm like, funny.
I'm a rock. Things happen and they get to happen.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into these spoilers. So, yeah, opening the movie up with Creep, it was a great choice. And the acoustic version too, because, obviously Creep says fuck in the original song. You don't want to hear a weird censored version, but the acoustic version doesn't say it.
That's very true. And actually, right at the moment it should say fuck, he goes into a hallway. And
he sure does.
Oh, I wonder if that was in preparation, like in case we can't get this version.
Yeah.
And I forget the other one, like I can cover the edit.
Yeah, because the acoustic version, he says so very special. But
it
also
goes to show you didn't have to say fuck.
It would have been funny if that's where the F-bomb of the movie was.
I knew going in that an F-bomb existed. I was thinking like, where are you going to use it? And I'll admit, and this is how good the movie was, I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah.
5 minutes into the movie. I also wasn't thinking about the trailer. That happens to me a lot in movies where even if they're good,
Yeah.
I'll be like, well, I haven't seen this thing from the trailer yet, so I know that they're okay, or we're gonna go here.
And
I was involved in the story to the point of like I was just there. I wasn't thinking.
I actually brought this up off air with some friends. I went and rewatched the trailer after I watched the movie, and they don't do any bullshit where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna put a character in here or take a character out here," like they have with other movies in the past. So you're like, "Oh wow,
And actually, even though they do
okay,
use some bits towards the end of the movie in the trailer, a lot of what you think is the ending in the trailer is actually in the first 5 minutes.
Yep. it sure is."
Because this movie also just starts right off.
Yeah, with
We kind of get a catch up with all of our characters in a way while Creep plays.
Yeah.
And then Adam Warlock just fucking
yeah, which his intro was playing "Crazy on You" by Heart, which is possibly the best intro of all of MCU. Just going really hard into that character for no reason. Like he just playing that song and just it's the stupidest shot too. He's just
it's funny
floating
too,
in space.
is there's nothing synthy or sci-fi about that song,
No, not at all.
but
It works
setting
so
it to
well.
a gold man flying through space is like this feels like it feels
Yeah,
sci-fi. He
like exploding through.
If
the
he wasn't
wall
a
and
writer
fighting.
director, James Gunn should just be a music supervisor.
For
his,
sure.
his ability to like, yeah. And I've heard he plays the songs on set. Like he already knows.
Oh, yeah,
like, this is the song.
That's how he writes his scripts.
He even tells the actors like you're going to be in slow mo during this part, which all of them like it helps.
Yeah,
It helps to know exactly.
but the actor who plays Adam Warlock, Will Poulter,
which you know what is not who I would.
is it not?
I like him, and I've seen more in the comedies and like goofy stuff because he has an interesting face.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have like pictured or picked him for this, but
Fuck it.
even though he does eventually, he really is kind of playing a dumb baby, but a scary dumb baby.
Yeah,
And his introduction here is like, shit, this dude could fuck you all up.
yeah, he can literally destroy this entire head.
I mean, he fucks Nebula up.
Yeah, almost instantly. Like breaks her neck, right? In the first few seconds.
Breaks her jaw.
That's
and
what it
sends
was.
her through a building that does like just dislocate all of her.
Which also Nebula.
I know we're in the
like,
spoilers,
yeah.
so I just mentioned on the Nebula front because she can reassemble herself, whatever.
It's disgusting.
The hallway fight, which we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Her bit in the hallway fight, though,
Pretty cool.
is maybe one of my favorite. Is maybe my favorite part where she just gets her fucking head seemingly knocked the fuck off, and the camera rotating around her and like her putting her body back together while also still kicking ass is like that's gross and cool. And that hallway fight is also the moment where it's like this is really not like for little kids.
Yeah.
Which I guess they shouldn't like. They probably wouldn't be seeing this anyway, right?
Yes.
You'd probably be 10 or 12. Because I mean, this is 10 years. It's been 10 years since
I
the
will
first
say
one.
a couple of theaters I went into, they have notes like on the doors like, hey, this movie actually has really extreme themes. Be mindful of your kids. It was on that and another movie.
This is another note that Disney needs to take with Marvel, though, in regards of I'm not saying things need to be rated R. Or
Oh,
whatever.
no.
Although I mean, there are characters Marvel has like Blade. If you ever make it, I would say you should be rated R.
Yeah.
But not everything needs to be the same. You need to accept like, hey,
Yeah, branch out.
even if it's certain characters, because like I bet there are kids who can watch the first Guardians and like it and love Groot.
Absolutely.
And love Rocket and everything.
I mean, the baby Groot thing literally started this whole baby thing.
But some of them may not be ready for this. Well, there's some adults because you don't see animal torture, but it's implied enough. And
Some people
there's some stuff you do see where it's like, I mean, if you want to hate a villain instantly, they nailed it with this guy, which we'll get to. It's good villain too. But yeah, so Adam Warlock,
yeah, awesome,
coming
awesome
crazy on you,
and you get Rocket. You see, like, you really get to see him with his get his shirt off, and you get to really take a good look at how fucked up his body is.
I feel like it's just like a reminder because Volume 1 we get a good look at him, and it's almost like James is telling us like, just remember this is what he looks like.
Like he's ashamed of it,
and you don't know what he's been through, but like I'm about to show you.
and show us they do. So they introduce us to the first of the few flashbacks when they are like, hey, we got to use this machine that heals people instantly.
And that again, as a writer, that's a good setup because They put it on Rocket, but Mantis uses hers first.
And it
we
heals
see
her.
it like literally take her arm, which straight up just got snapped.
Oh yeah,
back,
it's just broken. Yeah,
and just fixes it. So it's like, I know it sounds basic and simple, but some movies wouldn't do that. And like he knows, like, I'm going to show you exactly what this thing does.
yeah,
So you know when they turn on Rocket what it should do. But then we find out Rocket's got a kill switch.
yeah. That no one knew about.
Thusly, that's our take after the whole adventure. It's like, gotta go find the code to turn off this kill switch so we can heal our buddy.
Yeah,
That's it.
and
Which is,
I
again,
guess
as a writer, good that you really, the story is very simple.
we see that
That's all it is.
We also see that Quill is drunk at the very beginning, which is why he is so out of it that to literally carry him back to his bedroom because he's so sad about Gamora that he's just drinking constantly.
Which is why I think putting the Christmas special on the Blu-ray would be a good idea too, because it gives you a little bit more time with Quill of seeing like
Why he's so
really
sad.
fucked up about.
And so that adds to
they do mention. I mean, Nebula. They have a little conversation where Nebula's like, she's not dead.
Yeah,
because I guess Kraglin didn't know that Gamora wasn't dead.
Yeah.
And she's like, she doesn't remember anything, which is also kind of not true. She's like, no, it's not that she remember.
Yeah.
She's not that Gamora.
Yeah. So that's where the big adventure pops up. Is like, oh, he's like is thrown out of bed by this explosion. And he's like, oh my god, I could have protected him, and I didn't.
And his guilt doesn't really come back in the movie, but I mean, you see, I guess, in regards of that he is.
I think it does.
He continually says that Rocket's his best friend.
That he means it.
And he does mean it, although Drax is like second best friend.
Yeah.
Again, everyone here is, I love him. And Nebula is the most important.
She really is.
Not only because it shows her growth and arc in all three of these,
which is
because she was a villain.
It's crazy that how well liked she really is, and how much growth she's had. She's had the best character development out of any Marvel character.
But it is the thing that ties. One of the things that ties in the most to the bigger MCU in regards of Endgame and Infinity War, she would really care about Rocket because for 5 years it was just the two of them.
They're very similar
on Earth. I mean, it doesn't matter where they were, but like it was just the two of them during the blip.
Yeah,
because everyone else was gone. So she spent all that time with Rocket. Like, I mean, she says like, he upgraded my arm. So again, for people who maybe didn't watch the other ones, which I can't imagine anyone watching Volume 3 hasn't seen Endgame, but maybe. But if you have, like, oh yeah, like they spent all that time to get like,
hey, he got Bucky's arm in the Guardian special. Do you think he used that?
I did actually. I wondered if that's what he used to like upgrade her arm.
Because I mean, it was Bucky's arm, and it's made with the vibranium.
When we get over to Captain America: New World Order, I wonder if there'll be
it'd be funny
addressing like missing his arm.
But yeah, so you get everyone's freaking out. They're like, Rocket's fucking dying, dude.
Also, Cosmo is a good dog.
Yeah, the Cosmo, based on a real dog, like comic book character.
Somebody online interviewing James Gunn was like, because in the comics, Cosmo's a boy.
Wasn't the real dog a girl or something?
The real dog is a girl.
Yeah.
But they were asking him, why'd you change the sex of Cosmo to a girl? It's like, well, I wanted. Cosmo in the comics is also based off the real dog that the Russians sent to space and died up there.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I also wanted to pay tribute to the real dog.
Not pulling a Balto to call back to earlier.
He asked him again, it's like, but why would you change it? He's like, James was like, why does it bother you so much?
Yeah, it's a dog.
And as I was reading, he's like, why do you care?
It's a dog wearing
James even pointed
suit.
out, he's like, I've changed a bunch of other stuff too. The High Evolutionary is an alien. In the comics, he's from Earth. He is a human.
Yeah.
I think Drax also he's changed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you fixated on
a dog?
This?
Yeah.
And of course, the article was reading was like, he's going to do this to DC too. He's going to change a bunch. He's going to make them women. It's like, okay.
It's a dog.
Also, yeah, it's a dog.
And the dog is in the movie for maybe 5 minutes.
But also adore. And I, to be honest, also fell in love with Cosmo.
Yeah. You even get like Kraglin trying to live up to Yondu because of how much he really respected Yondu. I mean, he was the last of the original crew. All the other ones got killed in the second movie.
By Yondu.
No, not by Yondu. But the people that overtook him, he threw all of Kraglin's friends that wanted to stay with Yondu out the window.
Face.
Yeah.
Taser face.
So he was literally the last of all of them.
Taser face.
Also good Rocket bit. Really, Yondu was holding together everything. So Kraglin and Star-Lord are the last of that entire thing.
Which does come up when eventually Gamora does team up with them, and she's a Ravager now.
And Stallone comes back once again.
She's with the original, actually, technically the original Guardians from the comics.
Yeah.
That team is who were the Guardians.
Pretty cool.
And she is a different Gamora, and it's made very clear.
I mean, even her hair looks different.
I think it's actually my favorite Gamora, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They have other back and forth, but like Peter calls her out as like, "You're not a Ravager. I'm a Ravager.
Yeah.
This was your family." And I mean, not even comedically. He's like, "This was your family." But that's part of that story too of him
like accepting
go.
Yeah.
And realizing like it's not her. Like your Gamora died.
But he needed that closure. He needed to hear her say that.
But I also think it was important for that Gamora to hear that too and realize part of her journey.
Yeah.
And again, we're in spoilers, so it doesn't matter. I'm glad that they don't get back together.
Yeah, me too.
Because it would have felt cheap.
I'm also glad they didn't get together with Nebula.
James Gunn did it, I'd probably be like, oh, okay, that's fine.
And there's a good bit where, Nebula is like, oh, is there something between her and, Quill? But while there might be like a small crush or something.
What you saw in the trailer is what it is in the movie. It doesn't go any further than that.
You don't need that.
It is that they're a family and they do love each other. And you get that numerous times in the movie of they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
Although my favorite Peter Gamora bit is when we're stealing the info from the space anus.
Yeah, it's literally like a grown planet,
which is cool and gross. And even that, I was like, I'm honestly surprised that this is in here because this is very gross.
It was very surprising.
But the elevator bit, Peter's talking to a chick that they've taken hostage, who's actually Ratcatcher from Suicide Squad. And really just kind of recapping his stories, like, fell in love with this girl, and then this girl's dad threw her off a mountain and she died to get a magic rock, and but everyone else came back and she came back a dick. I'm doing a huge disservice. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's very funny. And that was a moment where I was like, is that something that James Gunn didn't want to happen that way?
Yeah, it really felt that way. Because it's really funny bit, and also it's true.
It's genuinely funny, and then Nebula makes it even funnier. She's like, "Well, we left out some things, but that is the gist of it."
Yeah, it's like that's good.
And honestly, I was like, "Yeah, that is the gist of it." I've seen all of it. And that's what happened.
And
I'm not an Infinity Stone expert.
Yeah, or scientist. Yeah,
and I love the actual references to not just to past stuff, but to Infinity War and Endgame of no matter what no matter what the MCU does, I don't think you're ever going to hit that moment again.
Never.
Same way that the Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, no matter how good it could have been or was,
mm-hmm.
it wasn't going to be the first one because it wasn't the first time we saw this happen.
Right.
So Endgame is what, whether you're Martin Scorsese or not, it was a cinematic moment in history.
Yeah.
Nothing like that had ever happened in the movies.
It's still like Infinity War more.
Is a cultural event of just 10 years of storytelling and a bunch of different characters. We're finishing it all right here. And I feel like the shows have touched on a little bit, but I feel like a lot of stuff is just okay, we're moving.
Yeah.
Moving on.
We're done. We're done.
No. Your world will be forever. The world of the story you're telling should be forever changed by what that dude did. Don't ever stop talking about it.
Exactly.
And so even just hearing Thanos' name, that was honestly one of my favorite parts in Black Panther was when Nakia mentioned Thanos. Yeah,
that happened.
That happened.
With this movie and the way they treated the past events. I mean, even bringing up ego, Quill going through hey, I've lost literally everyone I care about. I don't want to lose Rocket too. So sending him on his journey to save his best friend was really cool by also showing this dude's really been through a lot. Everyone that he's ever loved has died, and it's also been kind of his fault, not on purpose.
That was actually my favorite bit of the elevator bit. Was him also saying, and I kind of lost my temper.
Yeah.
Maybe caused half the universe to die. I was like,
yeah.
That was the bit where I think James Gunn was everyone's why'd you make Star-Lord dumb?
Right.
And do this thing? Even though I defend, I give he was emotional.
Yeah.
He hit him. Yes.
Well, this character also has a lot of guilt. And obviously he didn't kill his mom, but yet he kind of did because the moment she got pregnant, Ego was like, hey, here's another one for me. I'm not going to come back here because I actually really like her. So maybe the kill will turn out right. So it's it's kind of his fault for existing that his mom died. And just with all the things that's happened throughout all this time, like, yeah, he's had a lot of loss and stuff, and a lot of it has just been attached to his actions. I'd say killing half the planet's pretty bad, or half the universe is pretty bad on you.
Technically, didn't have to deal with that because he was also gone for that whole time.
True, but when you come back and you're like, oh,
Yeah, everyone's like, "You did this."
then you get forced to hang out with Thor.
If you hadn't hit him, they would have got that off.
Yeah,
So let's talk about Lila, Teefs, and Floor, Rocket's friends when he's baby Rocket.
yeah, those are also seeing
And
fucked up bald baby Rocket.
they are
Pretty.
They and
Tough.
even in Rocket are cute. And again, the visual effects were just like, on my rewatch, even I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't totally believe it's a real raccoon there. Like, I know it's
Right.
CG, but like down to like the fur, like everything's like, yep, that's good. Like, I was looking at his nose, like he had the little divots on his nose. It's like, but even Lila, Teefs, and Floor are also kind of horrific.
Yeah, they're like Teef's eyes will never close; they're permanently open.
Floor she's the bunny with, I guess, robot spider legs and
Like
no
a-
mouth.
Yeah, like a.
Lila's probably the least fucked up.
And she just has no arms or legs
Um,
and no tail, I believe.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
But they are also cute and adorable. And I guess it's harrowing because like as an audience member, it's like,
These
well, I know that they die because
these characters are not coming back.
it's Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like, you're not around, so like I know you die here.
Except for one little detail in the first movie when it shows all of them at their police lineup. It says that Rocket has another known accomplice named Lila.
I did see. Also, I noticed that his number in this movie, 89P13, is in his lineup. That is the name that shows up. So that's a cool fucking touch.
It makes me wonder with the Lila thing.
In the comics, she's alive.
Yeah. Makes me wonder though if like maybe there was a bigger plan for her if the in game stuff didn't happen.
Maybe.
Like
We'll never know.
Yeah.
But and then
at the same time, like, it might have just been a throwaway Easter egg because he's like, I might never make another one.
Same way. I mean, technically, Gamora's lineup there says she's the only survivor from her planet, and then in Endgame, it's like, well, no, half of them survived.
True. Well, I mean, they
It's
might have
like-
all died.
It's also true. It's also like, whatever.
Yeah.
Minor thing. But characters are, our time there with him is fun. We get to see Rocket grow and see that it's not just what's been done to him. He actually is smart. And that's actually, again, the driving force of the plot of this movie. The villain, the High Evolutionary, at one point is showing Rocket something. And
Also, you know what? This is one of those horrific scenes that kind of got to me because it was a little box turtle. And that's a pet that I have.
the transformation.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to see what's about to happen to this turtle.
And the transformation is also grotesque. I mean, it appealed to me because I like body horror, and this movie's got some body horror. But yeah, it keeps failing because they are aggressive. Like he can't get the rage out of them.
Yeah,
And the High Evolutionary is trying to make, quote unquote, in his mind,
yeah, he wants to make the
perfect world,
Yep.
improve everything, which is also kind of from the comics. But
I mean,
Rocket
very much
basically
similar to Thanos in that way.
solves the problem, and High Evolutionary is amazed because like, what? And they do it and it works. He's like, how did you know that?
And he almost has like an anxious breakdown when he finds out that Rocket did that, like that he just knew.
And I've seen people complain that he's a good villain until the last third of the movie where he just turns into a yelly, screamy villain, which he does. But it's like, no, I think it's still good. Like
the dude's legit.
the dude has
insane.
a god complex, and his motivations are clear.
Yeah.
To a degree, not agreeable, but understandable. Like I understand why you're doing what you're doing.
It's nice
And-
to not have a tragic backstory villain, just have a bad guy.
And also, when he starts giving his kind of monologue to Peter towards the end, this is another bit I really liked. Peter basically cuts him off. He's like, I don't want to hear another impotent megalomaniac whose mother didn't love him enough rationalizing why he wants to take over the world.
Yeah.
The Evolutionary is like, I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm trying to build a perfect one or improve it. And so, like Thanos, good villain in regards of, because generally he doesn't care to take over the world.
Yeah.
He has another line later towards the end too where someone says something about God and he does yell. He's like, there is no God. That's why I stepped in. So yep. All right. You as a villain are totally, I got you. But he wants Rocket back.
Yeah.
Because
he wants
Rocket
brain.
is able, his brain, he doesn't know how he was able to basically improvise and figure things out on his own.
Right.
And towards the end of Rocket's flashbacks, we see him build his first thing, and he literally is just like
You just understood.
like little parts, and just like
Yeah. And
and the others
best
are
thing
like,
is the
"What is
movie.
that?" It's like it's a key.
The best thing is the movie doesn't feel the need to be like, oh, this is what made Rocket special. He just is.
And you also get the vibe, which I think I've hinted at before in other movies too. Is like he might be the smart. Like we see him in two forms:
Yeah.
normal headed form, and then like purple RoboCop head form.
He really does look like RoboCop.
Which I mean, he does. Like I think it was intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets called out.
Yeah.
Peter calls, and I love that Peter calls him out because also it's like, well, you left in the 80s. That again, that'd be a point of reference that you would know.
Yeah.
And the ending fight has a bit where part of the face skin that should be attached to something is hanging off, and I thought
It's just a little mistake.
I thought it was a mistake in the movie. And then Gamora, this is the whole team's gonna beat him up. We'll touch.
I thought it was Nebula that peeled his face off.
No, it's Gamora.
Okay.
She peels it off, and Drax gives a great line. His face came off.
And then
it's Rocket's like it's a mask.
possibly the most shocking thing.
Was back to our final kind of flashback with Rocket, where he basically found out that evolutionary was going to kill them all.
Yeah.
They were just there as a step to create
and so
his perfect life.
And also, obviously, the high evolutionary is also very smart, so he knew Rocket was going to.
And I kind of love that too. I love that he didn't underestimate Rocket. He's like, no, I thought you might do this.
So in their showdown,
but also you see how not petty, but like above everything he is, where he tells Rocket to get back in his cage.
Yeah.
And when he doesn't, he calls somebody. He's like, he won't get back in his cage. He needs someone to come down here. He could just do it.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm not going to lower myself to that.
He won't lower himself, right?
And I was like, oh, that's a really cool like little touch.
Yeah.
And then Rocket, Lila's already dead.
Yeah, she gets shot almost immediately. And
Rocket loses his shit and attacks him. And I didn't think it was overly violent, the attack. On my rewatch, I was like, since I know the aftermath, I was like, oh no, this is actually pretty violent.
Because there's a subtle thing that I didn't really think about, but you see him scratching his face. It's like, sure,
and then you don't ever see the High Evolutionary's face again.
But you also don't see what happens next. Is this tinier Rocket, because he's still a kid, picks up this massive gun that shoots a bunch of people, no recoil. And then you think it to the other movies, these huge guns that he's holding. It's like, how strong is him?
Like, oh, he got one. Also, he got really good with his brain is like Captain America, where I always wonder, like, I get that you're super strong and shit, man, but like, how do you learn that shield stuff?
Yeah,
because it didn't seem like you trained. It seemed like you just fucking figured it out. And like Iron Man's super smart. I feel like Rocket is all of that.
Right. And so you get him like picking up these like really huge and heavy equipment. And it's like, oh my God, how strong is this? So
and that's where you notice
you really take that into account until you see the end. It's like, of course his face would have been like concaved.
Floor and Teefs are dead, and so Rocket leaves.
Yep.
And again, this is good writing and good storytelling, because I didn't even think about or consider it. And then we're at the end, and they peel the face off. I was like, what the fuck? His face came off.
Yeah.
And then they show, Rocket's like it's a mask. I guess because presumably he kind of knew.
Yeah.
And then you see Evolutionary's face, and like,
it was more shocking.
Is worse than Two-Face from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, it was more shocking than Harvey Dent.
Which The Dark Knight, not a kid's movie.
Not at all.
PG-13, but not a kid's movie. This was, if this was RoboCop, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
It's what Red Skull should have looked like.
Yeah, I mean, and on my rewatch, I was looking at it, and like, you'd even think that he wouldn't linger on it too much, but like, no, he does. The second time we go back, like, James just lets him talk.
To the point where you're like,
oh. Like, you're just like, man, pieces of your fucking face. It's not just gone, like, it's gross.
And it's awesome.
And I really wondered if, like, I guess as long as the rating board gave them PG-13, maybe they wouldn't care. But I wondered, like, did Disney say anything? Or they're just like,
right.
Hey, not show that.
Maybe that's what they said. They said his face came up, and they're like, hey, that's a good line for Drax.
But even that fight was great, too, because it's Rocket and High Evolutionary having this. And actually, when Rocket gets saved, obviously.
Yeah, he's going to get saved.
And then High Evolutionary captures Nebula and Drax and Mantis. And Rocket hears his voice over the intercom. You see on Rocket's reaction, it's trauma. It's a trauma.
It's a straight up PTSD moment.
Trauma happened. But when he faces him,
he's very calm.
Evolutionary's losing his shit, throwing him around. Rocket turns on some grav boots, which again, actually, literally foreshadowed
doing
in
at the
the
very
first
beginning of the
5
movie.
minutes, and it's super subtle. But when he did it, I was like, oh yeah, you said you were testing to see if those boots would work on slopes.
Yep.
And this was the other great part too for me is this is right after he freed a bunch of other animals, but specifically raccoons. And you learn now because in all the movies he's constantly saying, "I'm not a raccoon."
Yeah. Because he doesn't
my
know what that
favorite
is.
is the volume 2 bit where Peter calls him that, and he's
He
like, "I'm
gets-
not a raccoon." He's like, "Fine, I'm sorry, trash panda." And Rocket doesn't know. He's like, "Is that better?"
Yeah, right. I think
And
he
he
gets called
sees
a
the
rabbit
sign
constantly.
next to the raccoons and sees that he is a raccoon.
Yep.
And that's where I learned, like, oh, you literally did not know what a raccoon was and did not think that you were a raccoon. You wasn't hubris or anything else. You didn't think that that's what you were. And so when he comes back down and he shoots High Evolutionary and he says the name's Rocket Raccoon, I was like, that's maybe the coolest name title drop MCU's done.
And
and then the rest of the team shows up and everyone gets a fucking hit on them.
right.
And I do want to touch on Mantis as well.
Oh yeah.
Everyone does get their bit, but I feel like Mantis gets a lot.
I really love Mantis, so I'm happy about that.
And I wonder, because I'm sure Volume 3 was written before he did the Christmas special.
It was like in the
But I
middle.
wonder if more Mantis and Drax. I want to know, like, how did you learn that like they were such a good pairing? Because they are a good.
It's because of
comedic pairing.
Well, Infinity War really had them paired together a lot.
Oh yeah, I guess
because they're like having fun in the background, like jumping up and down in low gravity.
So that's what I was going to note. Like
in Infinity War,
specifically when we're going to Ogo Corp, the space butthole, and the M&M colored spacesuits flying through, and we get in the meantime. I gotta say, look, the music in all of these movies has been good, but since I'm a kid of the '90s,
in the meantime,
this was the
Space
music.
Hog was really cool.
This music spoke to me more than any of them. It's like, oh, now you're hitting. This is what I grew up with.
And also used the other trailer song Since You've Been Gone Just Before by Rainbow.
But them flying down there, and even once they get down to the fleshy surface.
Yeah, it's really gross.
If you watch just Mantis, the whole time she's always just like spinning around.
Yeah, having fun.
And like even once they're touched down, and it's in the background kind of like, oh, and it makes sense. Like, yeah, Mantis would do that. And she speaks some real truth about, some of them are angry at Drax about, well, him just kind of doing whatever he wants, but it's like he's the only one of you that doesn't hate himself.
He's the only one that's happy.
And she's like, because he's dumb. And he's like, I don't know how I feel about this defense.
Yeah.
And of course, Mantis then just does the forget.
Yep.
But
I actually rewatched a bit of Infinity War, and Mantis does a lot of the background stuff like that because there's a scene, when they're introduced in that movie, where he's like, all right, guys, put your mean faces on. And it's just like a kind of a lingering shot, and you just see Mantis like furrow her brow and like pick her teeth out, and she's just like, she's always done background stuff like that. It's nice to see her be like carefree, I guess is the best word.
And she gets a lot of comedy in this.
She's kind of more comical than Drax was.
And the spacesuit bit, and this is where Peter really kind of lays his heart out to Gamora, and Gamora's not. I want to give it credit. She's not just like she doesn't do what you think, where she's just a bitch and ignores it. Like,
right.
She acknowledges it, and she's like, it's not me. And then Mantis interrupts, and she tells Peter's like, we can all hear this, right? Because he pressed the blue button. Her suit's blue. I also am thinking like, yeah.
It's just it's a good comic silly
That's
bit.
a great comic bit of like, no, red is for green and yellow is for red and blue, like. To which Peter's like, how would I know that?
But then also Drax like understands it, which is also just like another subtle thing. Is like Drax isn't stupid.
So it's it's amazing that everyone, even considering that this team has gotten bigger,
right,
since the first movie, everyone gets not just a bit to shine, but they get an arc. They get an arc in this movie, and they get an arc.
I mean, literally, even Kraglin has like a moment where he sees Yondu like in his mind trying to get his arrow to work.
And that was heartwarming for me.
Yeah, it really hit hard.
Honestly, even down to a little bit with Cosmo when she's asking Kraglin, like, please, take back that you called me a bad dog.
Yeah, because he calls her a bad dog.
And there's a poker game going on. They're all like, will you just tell her she's a good dog because this is going crazy. And that Howard the Duck was there and he speaks and like, it doesn't fucking matter. But the fact that like he's been in the other two, like the fact that you're also still here, that James is making sure like everything that I've done, like here. It's all
The-
they're all here.
The trauma dude was there too,
Yep, Lloyd Kaufman.
which also makes me wonder if a lot of the people that are on Nowhere are the prisoners from the first movie.
Maybe. Well, Nathan
'Cause he-
Fillion is in this, and he was a prisoner in
So
in
was
the first
Lloyd.
movie, but he now is just himself.
Yeah.
And he. I mean, I love Nathan Fillion anyway, but he was great in his little
Yeah.
small part. It's cracked me up.
What was his part again? You have to
And,
remind me. Of that one.
he was one of the Ogo Corp guards. He was the
Okay.
head of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Ogo
Okay.
Corp
Now I
guards.
was like,
And that also led to what I see is like, this is a really good callback to the first movie.
Yeah.
Because in Ogo Corp, they kind of end up getting stuck in a room and they're being shot at. I'm like, this is just like when you escape the prison. And Peter basically does what he learned from Rocket
yeah.
and switches the gravity and makes them all fly away. And I was like, no, it's just a fun callback, but that's something you saw Rocket do.
And it
And
also
that's why you know how to do it.
played some music there too, didn't it?
Yes, but I don't remember what the song was.
Okay. I can't
I
remember.
mean, you know, this is a James Gunn movie. There's a song playing for everything.
True.
On that note, let's talk about the better, in my opinion, now use of No Sleep Till Brooklyn. This hallway fight.
It is wild that song plays in
Two
this
Chris
movie.
Pratt movies.
Considering
One
it-
shot, and they're both. It's both times it's used for a one shot.
Yeah,
Even though
it-
one's an animated one, but
but it's like it's wild.
this is my favorite. This is my favorite soundtrack.
Yeah,
of
it's
all
pretty
three.
good.
And again, it's not disparaging volumes 1 or 2. It's just
Still, Volume 2 is probably my favorite still, but this one is a very strong contender.
so the hallway.
Yeah, the hallway fight.
On that, so the High Evolutionaries minions are called the Hellspawn, which are literal body horror cyborg animals.
Yeah.
To where even the first time I saw them, I was like, damn, that looks cool. And I was like, wait a minute. This is a PG-13 Marvel movie. What
one
the
of-
fuck is this?
The one of them named War Pig, which doesn't die here, but one of those creatures, which is played by the most random person.
Judy Greer. And once I rewatched, I was like, I can tell it's her now.
Very
And
strange.
it's weird that I think she's friends with James Gunn, but it's weird that she didn't get to be in Ant-Man 3,
Yeah.
which she is. If you don't know, she's Scott's ex-wife, and she's in the first two. But she gets to be in this MCU movie.
Yeah.
Also, another MCU alumni is in this. Linda Cardellini, who's Hawkeye's wife,
Yes.
is Lila, the voice of Lila. But that makes sense. Whatever.
Yeah.
And I think she is also friends with James. Basically, it seems like being friends with James Gunn is just fucking fun.
Yeah.
And also, why do you get lots of parts in his movies all the time? I guarantee you, Michael Rooker is going to be somebody in the new DC universe.
I mean, he was in Suicide.
He's in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, he died immediately.
War Pig's death. I mean, Adam Warlock kills War
But yeah,
Pig.
pretty much. I'd like to say like Adam Warlock has no real place in the movie, but every time he shows up, he just fucks up a bunch of stuff, then he goes away.
But I also like that it brought the Sovereign back in, and it made it that the Sovereign were created by the High Evolutionaries.
That was nice.
It's like, oh, that's cool.
And also, they're terrified of him because they're like, hey, they're gonna kill. He could kill us at any moment.
in this hallway fight. I know part of it's like digital.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a oneer, and like any oneer, there are hidden cuts that he's able to do.
Right.
And with the digital aspect, you're able to hide it easier. But it's very impressive. And
Yeah. Every single character does something.
It was actually the last shooting day for all of the on-set Guardians.
That's cool.
And yeah, everyone gets to do something, and you get some of the gnarliest death here. Like one Groot.
Yeah, Groot just immediately
Not
starts.
only impale someone in the mouth, because he's impaled people before.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But then after he's impaled them in the mouth, then branches come out of that. Like I say, new Groot's got a lot of tricks, actually.
He really
able to
does.
hide guns inside of his big body and
He has wings.
he's
This
pretty
Groot-
versatile now.
This Groot's cool. And so you know,
and then as I mentioned, Nebula gets cracked and then just keeps going.
yeah, her neck literally, like you see like bone and metal like kind of like even poking out of like her skin, and then it like winds back up and cracks back together. She's slaughtering people. Drax and his knives comes back out. I was really
He
happy
pins
for
the
that.
dude to a wall by his leg.
And of course, Rocket's shooting a bunch of people
And-
with Quill. They're like on each other's backs.
and you get Gamora at the end stabbing one of the Hellspawn, but then also gutting him and then spinning.
Yeah.
And it's not red blood, but there's a lot of blood in the scene. And again, I know what it was. Like, you're able to get away with this because
This is their robots.
monsters and the robots. But it's still like, I was still like, This is impressively like
This is a lot.
This is a lot. This is pretty. I mean, I would probably take my kid to see that part, but the harder part of this movie is the implied and a little bit you see of animal violence. But I don't think he overdoes that.
I guess also like talking about just like that kind of stuff. Shout out to Chris Pratt on this one though. Like the scene where like Rocket is dying,
which is in the trailer.
Yeah,
the bit that you're talking about from Chris Pratt's
and where he's like literally like screaming and like spit's flying out of his mouth and stuff, and it's like this is intense. Like this is really good.
If you have a hate for Chris Pratt, you won't have it here.
Yeah,
you won't.
Because it's honestly you compare his acting to other movies. It's like wow, he really just seems like he doesn't care. Where this one's like, this is a dude screaming at a CGI animal with a woman who's green.
Like, you watch Jurassic World Dominion.
It's like he doesn't give a fuck.
You see an actor doing what he getting his paycheck. This like he loves.
Yeah,
they all love these characters, and there's little things that they're doing. It's like it feels like a real person. Which I know, like, is your job. You're an actor, but like, wow,
It really did take me out of the movie just for a moment where I was like, or it took me back just where it's like, I'm actually getting emotional over this CGI raccoon.
To where in the first one when Groot's sacrificing himself,
That's like, sad.
Do I care about this tree person who can only say 3 words?
Yeah.
Which leads me to the last, when we get some resolution here, but a really cool thing, I didn't dawn on me until I was on my way home. At the end, and James Gunn hinted at this, that death is not the only ending.
Yeah.
So I was surprised, like, none of them died.
Yeah, none of them die.
I didn't feel cheated. Sometimes I do in a movie where it's like, someone should have died. But also, he played with that, because there's numerous times where I thought, like, I think that you're about to die.
Yeah.
And also, I felt like, I guess any of you could die. I have no idea.
Yeah, like, literally any of them.
I mean, he almost kind of got me with the Star-Lord bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, the bloating face.
I think the bloating face is
kind of funny and gross, but it's also that's where I believe, like, oh shit, I guess he's fucking dead.
Yeah, he had a little clever thing with the creation of Adam. Where Adam is like it's like touch fingers because
that was
Star-Lord's a god.
Having drama and having me care, and then like it's okay, it's a joke. I'm gonna do this.
Yep.
And again, it was a running theme in this movie of all of the Guardians doing something and asking like, did that look cool?
Yeah.
Because when Peter gets back in, because he's the last one to escape, and he went back for his player.
I feel like that's kind of a callback to Yondu, because he's like, "You look like Mary Poppins." Like, was Mary Poppins cool?
Technically, he did it in the first one to save Gamora. He put his mask on Gamora.
Well, I meant just saying, is it cool?
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you just meant.
Oh yeah. In space. Yeah. No, just saying, was that cool? It kind of feels like maybe it's a little bit of a tribute to Yondu as well.
But once he's back at everyone, and he's just like, I need to talk to everybody, and basically. Now we get everyone's ending and everyone's resolution of the band's breaking up.
Yeah.
But, no one's going
Poor Rocket, though, because he's just kind of woke up, fought some people, finished with his past. He's like, wait a minute.
He does seem to feel the pain the most of like, so the group, that's it? The group's just done? And Peter's like, no. But he's like, you're going to lead them.
Yeah.
Nebula's going to lead the Society on Nowhere, which is a great arc for her.
Yeah.
She tells Drax she needs him here because she saw him with some kids and like.
Yeah, I mean, he spoke the kids' language, which we didn't really talk about. The High Evolutionary really did have a bunch of like a.
Yeah, it wasn't just animals dungeon. He was doing stuff too, like kids too.
Yeah, so that was his next plan. Was like, yeah, let's fuck with these kids.
Or maybe he created the kids.
He created them.
Also, we didn't mention we go to a counter Earth.
Oh yeah, that's the beginning of the trailer.
And by the end. Evolutionary just fucking blows up the planet.
Every single person dies.
I did see people complain about this, like the movie doesn't really address it. It's like, what do you want them to do? Like, they couldn't stop it,
and they also
it's not what they're there for.
They didn't speak our language, so we couldn't understand them anyway.
And Evolutionary said like he's done it before.
Yeah.
Again, like I guess I get what you want. You want someone to acknowledge like a whole fucking world just died, but like, they got shit they got to do.
Yeah.
Like this is already a 2.5-hour movie. What do you want?
You know what? I want to talk about that.
It is dramatic because like Gamora like literally at one moment locks eyes with a mother and daughter and then they just explode.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Because that's maybe the most like you can take in the context like, oh wow, he's destroying this whole civilization. But like James makes sure he's like, no. I want you to understand and feel something real quick. See that kid? You're dead.
Remember that adorable bat woman that we hung out with for a bit?
They're dead.
Remember she had 2 kids?
The car we stole.
But the weirdest music choice in this was a Vocaloid song, which is like, how the fuck does James Gunn know what this is? But because it's just weird anime music that's made by fans. So I asked my other co-host on our game channel about it, and she was like, oh yeah, that's a popular song. But it was also used in an anime where a dude turned a bunch of people into animals to do circus tricks. I was like, oh,
So
how
like, not
clever.
only did he just pull something weird, he pulled it purposefully. So,
And it was also very hectic and chaotic and crazy in this world. Everyone was just kind of yelling and screaming, and no one could understand a word.
that was a good thing too that the movie drew out. Like as they're driving to go to Evolutionary, like you see like a drug deal from an octopus man and something else,
There were cockroach kids
and even Nebula's
dealing meth.
This is the perfect society,
Also-
proving that like he didn't make anything.
Also,
And
this movie just said the word meth. Like that's pretty crazy. I don't think any of the other movies have ever mentioned drugs.
they just well, I mean, the Thor movies mention orgies.
That's true.
The Taika Waititi ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Peter's gonna go back to Earth because he's been running from that his whole life.
Gonna go see his grandpa that's
Mantis
still alive.
Is gonna go do her own thing because she's always just don't people tell her.
Apparently, she can tame the battery-eating creatures from the second movie.
Again, the fact that like that literally everything that's been in this, he just brought it all back.
Yeah. It was like, of course, that would be on their planet. Maybe he was fucking with the gold people to get Rocket in the second movie.
Or maybe how he found out that Rocket was still out there.
That too. Like,
Actually, before I get to that, I want to mention that Gamora, the new Gamora, constantly we get hints at the fact of she cannot understand what Groot is saying.
yes.
Where everyone else can, and we've just accepted it.
Yeah,
And they say it.
she's
So
like, what
that
the
we
fuck?
get like, oh, he said this.
Are you just making up what he says?
And I was like, really? She literally says like, you're just making up what he's saying, right? And constantly saying, I'm Groot. She's like, I know who you are.
Yeah.
But at the end, he says, I'm Groot. And I think she seems surprised because she realized that she understood it. And she's like, it was good working with you too. And then this goodbye scene, Groot says, I love you guys.
I love you guys.
And it said, it didn't dawn on me until I got home. In the theater, I'm like, why are none of them reacting to the fact that he just said
No one
something other than
reacted.
I am Groot? It was weird. And then I got home and I realized like, oh shit, he did say
It's
"I am
because we're Groot.
I understood it.
We are Groot
I
now.
was like, that's really fucking, that was really clever and subtle. Makes me feel really dumb that I didn't immediately pick up on it.
It's well done.
Grown ass man.
I guess we should also say though, like the reason that Star-Lord almost died was he was grabbing the Zune
For Rocket.
which he gives to him at the end and starts playing Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine, which I thought was a really odd choice. But then I was like, wow, this works really good.
When you watching the second time, because it's a very hopeful, upbeat song, and it's kind of a bittersweet moment because everyone is leaving.
Yeah.
But I mean, it fits. And then you see Drax dance, showing that he's not Drax the Destroyer anymore. He's Drax the dad.
Yeah.
And Peter goes home. Granddad is still alive.
Immediately recognizes him.
It hit me like the Christmas special, the end of the Christmas special, when Mantis tells Peter that she's his sister. And that's the best. And Peter tells her that's the best gift I could have gotten.
It was kind of a weird, funny-ish moment where the black woman opens the door and he's
I
like,
might be at the wrong place. Like, ooh.
that was a weird choice.
Why do you think that? I mean, I get it. But
yeah.
But when his granddad hugged him, it did he'd already primed me with everything else he'd been doing.
Yeah.
And like that moment hit, and it's like, yep, I'm just gonna cry for a little bit right here. Like this is yep.
So you did cry during the movie.
Yeah. Because I remember the first movie. I remember that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's another James Gunn always actor who's in all this stuff. And I remember, what a day for that man who just lost his daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then his grandson just fucking disappeared, like was abducted. I don't know, abducted, but like disappeared.
Well, I mean, he would have literally been inducted. They would have been like an Amber Alert kind of thing. Like he would have thought that someone kidnapped him.
But beyond even that, just like the reaction on that man's face.
Yeah.
Like you said, he knows like it's Pete.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can kind of assume maybe the world even knew, like maybe even saw a picture of him.
Well, Star-Lord was never really. I mean, he was here to fight Thanos at the end of Endgame, but like that was it. He didn't. He came here because he was on Titan.
It's true, but I mean, it's still possible.
Maybe,
but we
also,
don't.
we don't know. Granddad could have been gone during the blip too.
It's true. But yeah, with
And that blip is it's a very useful writing tool. Like, they just weren't here.
yeah, and
Ooh, what about these characters? Nope, they blipped.
uh,
The Eternals, they were blipped.
I did shed 2 tears during the Lila's in heaven saying like, it's not your time, dude. That got me.
Rocket saying, "Can I come?"
That got me.
Because we're just used to him being this. And again,
It's also a weird feeling to be like, this animated character is making me cry.
You understand now why he's so surly and stand up. And again, and that's what people.
And also why he
Volume
cares so
2,
much about Groot.
Chris Pratt is saying all the time, like, "Do you want everyone to hate you?"
Mm-hmm. It's cool.
It's because he's afraid of having a family.
And
And the Groot thing, the Groot now that we have.
yes.
So no, I think it was said in trivia for an Infinity War when Groot's fading away and he says, "I'm Groot." He's calling out
Like
to
dad.
his dad, to Rocket, because he kind of would be that. But that Peter is also a dad, a father figure to Groot. And you do see that when Peter's dying in space and like Groot reaches out to try to get him and like all his branches go out and of course they freeze.
Yeah, they break.
You feel pain on this fucking tree creature's face. I'm like, oh my God. And that started, like, I didn't cry. I was like, that started the feelings like, oh.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here like, wait, are you really going to do it this time? Like, what the fuck?
I was kind of like, oh, I guess they're all going to,
yeah.
Oh, they're not all going to get out. And Peter's the one, Star-Lord is the one I least expected to die.
Yeah, like with that, you get the after credit scene with
our new Guardians.
And it plays appropriately the re-recorded version of "Come and Get Your Love" by Redbone.
I know that too. They're just talking like, "What's your favorite song?" And Rocket's clearly been showing them all.
Mm-hmm. And also, Nebula would have told him what song he was listening to when they first was on that planet, because in Endgame they see him dancing to it, and Nebula's like,
knock him out.
Yeah, this dude's a fucking idiot.
It is a little bit weird that the Guardians are about to fight a bunch of animals.
I thought the same thing.
But I mean, the kid asks Rocket, "It's like, don't you feel bad?" He's like, "Yeah, but these people can't defend themselves." I'm like, okay. Yeah. But again, as a writer for James Gunn's like, why would why make it animals, man? Just make it anything else.
Yeah.
But Groot also, it's gotten even bigger.
Yeah, and he's like white.
A part of me was like, did you turn also kind of rockish?
Yeah.
But no, I think it is just the coloring of his wood or whatever he's made out of.
This is cool. And of course, like Kraglin's there and one of the kids from the planet.
And she is a character from the comic books.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut that I don't know about.
Was Cosmo part of them too, right there?
Yes.
And then Adam Warlock was with him as well.
Which they depowered him a bit from the comics, but also like
Adam Warlock's a dumb. I don't give a fuck.
In my opinion, he's a dumb character in the comic books. And his only purpose was in the Infinity Saga, which they didn't use him in the movie for that. So like, who cares? And
then the second after credits, just them eating.
Well, it's a funny, non-purposeful bit. They're just talking about something stupid.
Yeah.
But also, if you look on the paper, it talks about Kevin Bacon being abducted by aliens. I'm like, well, that's funny.
It's pretty funny.
And then we get the title card or whatever that the legendary Star-Lord will return.
Which is also like, well, it doesn't have to be Chris Pratt. I'm sure there'll be a Star-Lord.
It's true. It doesn't have to be Chris Pratt.
And also,
I think if they offer Chris Pratt enough money, he will come back. But I mean, because everyone's been asked, are you coming back?
Yeah.
And everyone said, like, this is the end of this team of Guardians. Yeah. It's the end of James Gunn's Guardians. And Chris has actually had the best answer. To one time being asked that, he was just like, these are characters that have been in the comics for years. I'm sure some of us are going to show up. We may not have our own movies, but like, well,
Yeah, well, it'll happen.
What we do know is like Drax, not going to see him again. Because, I mean, I guess I could recast him, but like, why would you?
Yeah, why would you?
Gamora, presumably, and her ending, and she goes back off with the Ravagers, and that's her family.
And once again,
Stallone. It feels right. I mean, I guess, well, we're not going to see Gamora because Zoe doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Although, again, offer enough money. Probably, okay.
I could definitely see Nebula and Mantis returning again.
Yeah, and I hope to see both of them. Obviously, Groot and Rocket.
I mean, Groot already has that one spinoff show already.
Should be easy because one, they're CG. And, I mean, I guess keep paying Vin Diesel to do it, but honestly, you could get anybody to fucking do it. But no, I mean, keep Vin.
Yep.
And Rocket, the thing with Rocket is
you don't really want them to.
We know that Sean
story.
Gunn plays him on set, and that is a big part of his performance. And apparently, his face is Sean Gunn's face.
Yeah.
If you can't get Sean Gunn, and if for some reason you couldn't get Bradley Cooper, then don't.
Yeah, just don't.
Bring back Rocket. But I want Rocket. I want to see more Rocket. And again, talking about the MCU's been missing, but I feel like they're looking for it, right? They're looking for an Iron Man, looking for Captain America,
right?
To be the face, to lead not just the team, but to lead their fucking movies.
Yeah.
Rocket kind of seems like
this is a good choice.
This is the choice. I watched a 12-minute YouTube video of just like Rocket's best moments, and I'm like, yeah, this is this is the MCU. This is what you should be doing, and not Doctor Strange, not Miss Marvel's.
Yeah,
I don't mean you can do those movies, but like your lead, this fucking raccoon.
You got him right there. The one that a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is going to kill the MCU."
On Earth with that was the most fun stuff.
Oh yeah,
me too. Like it was cool seeing him interact with those people.
It was really cool, and like he's a great character. There was one detail that I don't know if you caught. It was so strange and so jarring that I kind of didn't like it. It actually bothered me. But okay, you have the scene where all the animals are escaping the ship, right? And there's people helping the animals come through. There's just a random woman, and I think it was like the same woman like at the beginning and I got like bullied. Like I think like it told her like shut up or something like that. I can't remember what it was exactly. And she had like curly hair. But a monkey jumps off the ship and starts scratching the fuck out of her face, and you see it like digging into her skin. And she's like, everything's going on crazy, but she's like screaming, and then it cuts away to the other animals escaping. It's like, what the fuck was that?
It's such a weird thing because that's a deliberate, intentional thing.
Yeah. But did you even see that?
I did not.
I was like, this is shocking. I don't know why they added that outside of like, oh hey, don't remember wild animals are wild animals for a reason, kids.
I'll have to look for that now.
Yeah, it was super.
But again,
super strange.
It seems like a very James Gunn thing.
It does, but it was so jarring because like a lot of like happy things are going on around it.
This is also to kind of wrap up on the villain front. Rocket doesn't kill him.
Yeah,
and Drax even asks why, and he's like, "Some freaking Guardian of the Galaxy." I'm like, "Cool." I mean, he's gonna die here anyway.
You could have said "fucking Guardians of the Galaxy" right there.
They already used their fuck.
They could have done it there.
Fun story with that. Kevin Feige or James was like, so what about that fuck?
Yeah.
Apparently Endgame had a fuck in it.
Yeah.
I think Tony said it.
That makes sense. Probably would have said that sort of shit when he discovered the time thing.
And Kevin Feige just asked the Russo brothers, like, is that what you want your legacy? Or no, the Russo said that's not what they want their legacy to be, even though it's like your legacy is going to be that.
Yeah.
You directed may not be the most financial biggest movie ever, and I don't care what James Cameron says, like, this is the biggest movie ever. Like, no one's done this. You could say fuck. But I get it. Like, that is, that technically, even that is for kids. This is for everybody.
Yeah.
You get to be here for Endgame. So like, maybe don't say fuck, I guess.
That's fine.
Kevin Feige asked James Gunn, that was like, is this what you want your legacy to be? And James Gunn was like, do you know? Yes. Absolutely.
I made the shark yell fuck.
I want to be the guy who's, at the very least, put the first one in there.
Yeah. Because you've had cutaways a couple times for that.
So I think someone brought up with Chris Pratt, like, isn't it weird that you get to say the first fuck and not Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah.
And he's just like, and Chris Pratt has said, I guess, that numerous actors have tried to get fucks in, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna cut that. But like, cool.
Yeah. That's funny. Of course, like you said earlier, there's lots of cameos. I mean,
I was just gonna say this is the first villain death where like he's a cool villain.
Oh yeah.
He's interesting, and he dies. And normally I'd critique Marvel for that. So I'm like, great, cool, another villain that just, and we're done.
Yep.
This one makes sense. Like, yep.
It's also like
even though like, you could say like, well, I want to see what else he does. But it's like, no, I mean, you served your purpose, and you're done. I literally I don't have a single problem with this movie.
Yeah, I don't think I do either.
I don't think any movie's perfect, so I can't give it a perfect, but like I walked out of the theater smiling.
Yeah, it's the same thing. But like, what I was wanting to say about with the cameos, obviously, like you said, there's a lot of Suicide Squad and Peacemaker cameos in it. I guess the High Evolutionary is a pretty big one, considering he's one of the main dudes of Peacemaker.
When I first saw the trailer, I was like, okay, so
Yeah. He's a
I
good
mean,
actor.
I knew that you were doing Peacemaker before this, but like clearly, I guess you can tell when James Gunn and an actor hit it off.
Yeah.
That actor now is going to just be in anything that he does. Of course, James Gunn's wife is in here as well.
But the funniest one,
and she's funny in this too. I mean,
the puppet they used for Eagly was in the cages with all the other animals.
I still didn't see it on my second run through. I mean, I believe that he's in there,
but that means technically that's the first DC crossover because it's literally the puppet.
I wonder if maybe the Peacemaker helmet is hiding somewhere.
I could totally see that, like maybe like made inside of a ship or something. There's tons of other.
I mean, someone's asked James
cameos.
since now he's doing DC. He's like,
yeah.
Do you ever think there's a time that Marvel and DC are going to cross over? And again, I give James this too, where he's a wise man now. He knows how to answer questions diplomatically.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say a bunch of shit. He's like, yeah, maybe, sure. Right now, both of them just need to focus on telling good stories, which is like, what a way to not throw shade at either one of them, either. Not like shit on the place you're leaving, not shit on
place you're going,
the place when you're going to, what they've done in the past. Even though he has to like it's a mess, but also it is.
Yep.
Because he has a relationship with Zack Snyder. He wrote the Dawn of the Dead sequel or remake that Zack Snyder did. Also, let's not forget he wrote the 2 Scooby-Doo movies as well.
He sure did. Which I mean he did make Scrappy Doo say the scrote, so he's always.
I would love to see his actual original draft.
Yeah,
Scooby-Doo movie, because I know it's darker.
He did make the voice of Lila played Velma in those.
Oh yeah, that would be Weather Friends. That makes sense.
I forgot about that.
But
overall, great movie. Do you think it's the best DC movie, or sorry, the best Marvel movie for you?
Yes, this is the best DC movie.
Yeah.
That's it's hard to say, one, because it's so fresh, it's so new right now. Does it stand on its own? But do any of the Marvel? How well? I mean, Endgame doesn't stand on its own,
right?
I mean, it can, but like you will not understand what the fuck.
I'd say Guardians, the first one, really could stand.
I mean, the first Guardians,
it really has nothing to do with anything outside of it's kind of the start of the space version of all the Marvel movies. Only connection is like, oh, that purple guy, we saw him once.
I mean, if anything, it's not even a connection. If anything, Guardians explains like, here's who this purple guy is.
Yeah.
I do really like Infinity War.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a movie technically. Well, I guess it does have an ending, just a downer ending,
which is also a great ending.
I really like No Way Home, but also No Way Home.
You said before you don't really count that.
Even though I count it, there's a nostalgic element of if you haven't seen the other Spider-Man movies, these other moments don't hit as hard. And having watched it at home, still enjoyed it. Not the same experience
as being in
the theater.
Yep.
And through means.
Yeah.
I watched Volume 3 the second time at home.
Yeah.
So getting to see, so I've tested it. I enjoyed it just as much at home by myself without a crowd. And found it again smiling.
Yeah.
Without thinking about it and realizing, like, oh shit, I'm smiling.
And
again, tearing up.
Yeah. I did see Guardians with only 2 other people in the theater because I saw it like 1:00 on a Wednesday.
So I hope it continues to do well, if only, to boon James Gunn. And also, again, everyone who's got these butthurt feelings about DC and what he's doing, just trust him and let him tell the story.
Let's see what happens.
Even though, again, if you listen to the show, you know that I like the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
I accept it's dead. Like, that's gone. I get it. But also, you know what we didn't do there either? You didn't let someone tell the story they wanted to tell.
Right.
Let this dude, trust him.
Yeah.
Let him just set up and let's see what he does.
Just do it.
And again, everything he's done the last 10 years. So, yep, this is good. Like, you know what you're doing. I love this. So yeah, I guess this would be my favorite. Maybe that's why it's a good getting off point too. Is like, you know what?
Yeah, it's a good ending.
No matter what happens, like, you all can't. No one's going to touch this. And I don't think anyone can touch it. 1, because no one else is James Gunn.
Right.
But 2,
Everyone who's tried has failed.
I don't think Disney will leave any other director alone.
No.
And that's the thing. Hire these people because of whatever, and then give them the framework, like this and this and this has to happen.
Right.
And then just let them do whatever.
Right.
And trust it, because also what you're doing isn't working. So stop doing that.
Yeah, stop making stupid shit. Well, speaking of great endings, how about we get out of here?
Oh, well, is this your favorite MCU?
Still think the second one's my favorite.
So what to wrap it up then for you, what keeps the second one above Volume 3? I mean, it's a hard question. I know it's a hard question.
It is. It is a hard question. Well, the music really hits me. It could be...
Isn't it funny that technically a defining part of these movies, like, well, I like the songs in this one.
Maybe it's unresolved issues with my family.
But does Volume 3 make you want to resolve some of those issues?
No, because it's like with
no, because I can't turn into Pac-Man and eat the problems.
Yeah. I don't know, like especially with the Yondu stuff, like that one kind of it gets to me. It's like, I really like that one.
You know, that's another thing for the MCU too, is don't be afraid to kill characters.
Yeah,
James Gunn killed somebody in every.
Yeah,
well, he didn't kill anyone in this one technically, but no, well, he did kill out of Morlock's mom.
Yeah,
and by this point, I was like, you know what, I kind of like it.
And I mean, entire
and a whole planet
of cute animal people.
But I mean, yeah, you know, he killed Groot in the first one.
Yep. And
killed Yondu in the second one,
and pretty much the entire crew.
And technically, I mean, he didn't do it, but Gamora died in Endgame.
Yeah.
So I guess MCU's not afraid to kill people, but only for an Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
And apparently, only women. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Only women died for the Infinity Stone.
That sucks.
Gamora and Black Widow, just like, see ya. All right, well, yeah. Hit us up. Let us know if you've seen Guardians, if you're going to see Guardians, what your favorite volume is.
What's the best song moment out of the entire trilogy?
It's not the best moment, but I can't get over it in the meantime because that song's just so fucking
really good,
and it's well used in this movie.
Yep. There are definitely like shining songs.
Do you think you wanted to put Running Up That Hill somewhere in one of these movies?
Wouldn't that be funny?
In hindsight, it's kind of weird it's not in there.
It's also like it's
super done it when they were like taking a jog around Ego.
Right. That'd be good. That'd be pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
It is weird though, like how he does use some songs that are like, you know, no one's ever heard of this song, but then some other songs that are so overplayed that yet he makes it more unique, like the Jackson 5 song from the first one. So that song is
now
really
actually
overplayed.
When I hear that song, I now I picture Baby Groot in a pot.
It's like, well, that's strange.
But also for Peacemaker, I didn't know any of those fucking songs.
I actually knew the creature, the love of creature. I was like,
is that when all the butterflies are coming into the police station?
It's like I think it's when the hooker explodes.
Oh,
like it's like that.
I love that now. This conversation is turning. If these people haven't watched Peacemaker, like, what butterflies? A hooker explodes.
Yeah, it's like the ones like, could you love a creature like me?
Oh, okay, yeah, no,
it's my sister.
That is the hooker. Yeah,
yeah, and I was like, I couldn't believe they used that song
again though. Dancing in the opening.
Yeah,
Peacemaker's opening titles.
Yeah,
it's a whole dance number.
Yeah,
and you know what I never did? Never skipped it one time.
And the song itself is so weird that you think it was like a weird, obscure 80s song, but it's like, oh no, that's like made like a couple of years ago.
I thought it was an 80s song, and then I bought it. It's
like a band that's
not even 10 years old.
A band that plays like they're from the 80s. And yeah, like just all these music choices and stuff. It's so cool. You know what? Yeah, to end it off, what's the favorite song from the first one?
I mean, I really do like. I don't know the name. I just call it the Ooga Chugga song.
Oh,
yeah. I've liked that since I was a kid.
Yeah. You know what? I'll do you a favor.
Hooked on a Feeling. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's Hooked on a Feeling. And what was the scene that plays with?
I want to say the guard is listening to it, and Peter comes in there and says, "This is mine."
That's exactly what it was. My favorite of the first one is the fooled around and fell in love scene. They're like, it's like Gamora like
is that
started
when he
to dance
shares it with Gamora?
Yeah. I really like that song and all that, just the color and stuff. I think this is a really big one.
I feel like I'm going to go home and watch the first one.
Yeah. And then Guardians 2, my favorite of that one was, it's a toss-up because I really like all the songs in that one.
I'll tell you right now, my favorite is Fleetwood Mac's The Chain. So I fucking love that song.
It's a good way to use it.
The slow motion walk in that movie.
Yep. And that's the one with Yondu, right?
The walk?
Yeah. No,
No.
that's that God. I always think it's Elvis, but it's not Elvis. It's like the "Come a little bit closer."
I don't know who it is.
I forgot the name of the man who sings that, but that one is a good scene. But my favorite one, I think, is a toss up between the opening with Brandy or the Wham Bam Shangaling. It's like where the ship is crashing and stuff.
Yeah, with Drax outside.
Yep, it's also a really good scene.
So, what's your favorite volume? What's your favorite song from all 3 volumes? And what mech do you want to turn into a movie?
Yeah.
Remember, don't forget. It's been a long episode, but
yeah, chat or come send us some fan mail, some hate, whatever you want to do.
if you have some suggestions for what you'd like to hear us talk about, send that to us too.
Yeah, because you know what? I actually don't know what our next episode's going to be as of this moment.
We have a little bit of a breather, and
Yeah.
then June starts, and our next movie might be Transformers.
Okay, so no Fast and Furious.
I don't know. There's nothing. Not even. I'm not going to shit on them if you enjoy them. That's great. Like, I think they can be entertaining.
It offers you nothing.
And I don't think there's anything to be said. They are they know exactly what they are.
Yep.
I mean, they took a fucking car to space.
All right. Well, speaking of space, let's get on our Corgan and get out of here.